Look at you Tolos jumping into the stream already. 15 watching as we are live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for the Fan Upstate. You Tolos who turn it on and leave it on, you understand the assignment, and you can win a pretty sweet prize just for Toloing. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on in this hour. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Cole, the NBA trade deadline has come and gone. A lot of the guys who were moved and dealt are already playing a couple of games in with their new teammates. It's going to take them a little time to gel. But, Cole, I think you're going to see some teams who maybe were sitting middle of the pack making pushes to get to the NBA playoffs, maybe into the finals. I mean, I know you're a big LeBron fan, and they certainly got a lot better on the LA Lakers side of things when they added their new big piece, Cole. But I wanted to play a little game to get things started for you today here on the Fan Upstate. A little game of what team is that guy on? NBA edition. I know you are a big-time NBA fan. You've said many times that you love watching NBA, that you sit down and watch a lot of NBA, far more than probably any other Tolo who listens to this station, except for maybe a handful, Cole. And I wonder, do you know where all the biggest players in the NBA are?
No.
These days. Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be terrible.
I thought you were gonna crush this game.
We'll see.
You're just making excuses.
We'll see. I might be able to get a few of them. We'll see.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that here in just a second. Just a heads up, we are going to have Landon Powell, head coach of North Greenville Baseball, the undefeated NGU baseball, by the way, at 3:20. We've also got another big-time guest, Chapel Fowler, coming up at 4:20. So, Cole, I'm going to start things off easy for you, okay? Some guys who are big names. I think probably you should get, how many do we have? 2, 4, 6. I think you should probably be able to get 6 out of 6 correct. I have faith in you and your ability to get this done, Cole.
You want a little music?
I do want a little bit of music. I want to make this seem like a game show. I want to make this fun.
Sorry, stream. You won't be able to hear it. But
yeah, you guys won't be able to hear it because it'll get taken down. But Cole,
this is good here, man.
Yeah. Can we just loop this for the entire show under us? That'd be great.
Yes.
All right, Cole. Where is Domantas Sabonis right now?
Domantas Sabonis. This is Domantas Sabonis.
Domantas Sabonis. This is the superstar round. I thought, I'd throw some big name athletes at you.
Kings.
He is right. That is correct. Right? He is with the Kings.
And by the way, to make it a little easier on me, can I get some instant Tolo help on this, or no Tolos allowed?
I think you can. I don't know that they'll be fast enough.
I don't know that they will.
I don't know they'll be fast enough to help you out on this one. Okay. But again, I think this round is easier. Okay, these are the bigger names that most people should know where they are. If you ask me to play this game, I might get like 2 out of these correct.
I'm just terrible at remembering where players
are. That's because they're constantly on the move.
Yeah.
This is kind of pointing out a problem with the NBA, and that the superstars are always on the move, and you never quite know where they are. Cole, this player was just traded to his new team last year. It's one of the biggest names in the game. Where is Karl Anthony Towns right now?
Karl Anthony Towns. When I think of Karl Anthony Towns, I think Timberwolves. Let me think. Has Karl Anthony Towns been traded? Yes, he has been.
I gave you a little info there. He has been traded. He was traded last year. He's New York
Knicks.
He is with the Knicks. Congratulations.
Only reason I knew that is I was watching highlights earlier with the Knicks. They won in overtime last night, and that triggered it.
And I'm going to give you a little more information on some of these guys as we get farther and farther down the list. Cole, this player is famous for touching all the mics at the very beginning of COVID. Rudy Gobert. Where does Rudy Gobert play?
He is still in Minnesota. I believe he played with Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm going to go he is still in Minnesota.
That's right.
Okay.
You're 3 for 3. Okay.
Well, these are the big ones.
These are the easy ones. I didn't just – and by the way, when we get into round 2, I didn't pick – ones that I knew were going to be hard. I picked names that at least I recognize.
Yeah.
And if I recognize them, they're probably a big deal. DeAndre Ayton, Cole, he's been in the same place for 2 seasons now. Where is he?
He was in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And I think DeAndre Ayton is now in Portland.
That is correct.
Is that right?
That is correct. How about that? You're doing well, Cole. You've got 4 out of 4. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a 3-time All-Star, and he's been where he is since 2019.
Oklahoma City.
Okay, correct.
Yeah, that one's easy. They're the best team in basketball. Yeah. The best team in basketball.
And finally, Cole, people thought this player would never leave Portland, but he did. Where is Damian Lillard?
Milwaukee.
All right, correct. 6 out of 6. I had faith in you to be able to do this.
Yeah, those were fairly easy, but I will say, as we go away from the stars, I really don't have much faith, man, because what do we watch? We watch the stars. We watch the highlights. I don't know if I'll get any after this.
I think you will, Cole, and you know, especially if you've been paying attention to what was going on at the trade deadline, because a lot of these guys were just moved, okay? A lot of these guys just moved on teams. And so in this round, I have prepared for you 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 players. Okay. In this round. How well do you think you're going to do?
11?
Out of 11.
I say I'll get 4.
4?
I'm telling you, man, if they're not stars, I don't know if I'll know them. I really do. This is going to get hard.
This guy is a star. He's a 3-time NBA All-Defensive First-Teamer, Defensive Player of the Year in 2022. Where does Marcus Smart ply his services now?
Washington.
There you go. Correct. How about that one? You're doing well. You're off to a good start.
So far, knock on wood.
Marvin Bagley III. The Wizards just moved him.
Easy, yeah.
At the trade deadline. Who's got him now?
Out of Duke. Marvin Bagley. Oh, God. Dang it. Dang it. Marvin Bagley. Oh, my gosh. He's not. I forgot about Marvin Bagley.
Do you want a hint?
Yeah.
He is in the Eastern Conference.
Not Washington, is it?
Nope. Because Washington just traded him.
Oh, he was with Washington.
He was with Washington.
I have no idea. I cannot. In the Eastern Conference?
He's in the East.
Not Boston. Not Cleveland. Hold on. Memphis.
Hey, there you go. Correct.
Memphis. With Ja. He's with Ja.
I thought I would make that one a little bit easier since I paired them back to back. But
this is hard, man. This is hard.
You know, like you say, I'm like a savant when it comes to mascots, team mascots. You're a savant when it comes to where these players are nowadays.
Well, knock on wood.
Like, come on, who needs Brian Windhorst when you got Cole Bryson? Okay, here's one. Kevin Porter Jr. He played for the Cavs in 2019, 20, and 21. He's bounced around since then. Where's Kevin Porter Jr. now?
He's in Milwaukee.
There you go.
Is that right?
That is right. Okay. That is right. Doing great.
Ooh, I'm getting nervous.
This guy started as a Hornet, or technically a Bobcat, in 2013. Cody Zeller.
Oh, my God.
Where's Cody Zeller now?
North Carolina Tar Heel, right?
Uh-huh. Where's Cody Zeller?
Cody Zeller. He went to the West. He went to the Western Conference. Didn't he? Didn't he go West? Cody Zeller, what did you say he started out at? Do you know?
He was a Hornet. Bobcat.
That's right.
He was a Bobcat. Drafted by the Bobcats.
Is he still alive?
Believe it or not.
Cody Zeller is in the Western Conference. I'm not.
You are right about that. I'll give you that. You are right. He is in a Western Conference team.
Houston. Dallas.
He's in Houston.
Houston. Houston or Dallas? Houston. I said Houston first. I was going to say Houston or Dallas, but he's not in Dallas.
I want you to know you are 4 for 4 already.
Like Wendy's, baby.
You thought you'd only get 4 of these correct total. Dennis Schroeder. He's suited up for 9 NBA franchises. One franchise he actually played for twice. Where is Dennis Schroeder right now?
The team he's with now. Oh, man. Did we just switch songs?
We did.
My bad. I like it, though. I don't know if we can play this song.
I don't
know if we can play that one. That one might not be clean. Let's go back.
Do you know what team he played for twice? It's not the team that he's on right now.
It's not.
No.
Dennis Schroeder played for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Schroeder played for, he's played for 9 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Houston again?
No.
It's not Houston. Okay.
It's not Houston.
Dennis Schroeder.
I'll give you this one because that's
Detroit.
He is with Detroit now. Congratulations.
Okay.
You were right about that one. The team that he played for twice were the LA Lakers. He was on the LA Lakers twice.
He was the 20 team that I think he was on. Yeah, he was on the 20 team that won the championship.
This one ought to be easier for you, Cole. Where is Bogdan Bogdanović? Started the season in Atlanta, where he's been since 2020.
Yeah, I like him.
But where does he rest his head now?
Los Angeles Clippers.
Correct.
I like Bogdanovich a lot. I saw him play in the Eastern Conference Finals when Trae Young and the Hawks played. Who'd they play? I went to the game in Atlanta. This was like 4 years ago. Oh, God, I went to the game. They played in the Eastern Conference Finals versus maybe Milwaukee, and Trae Young was out that night. Oh, yeah, I think it was Milwaukee.
So I just want to talk to Bogdan's parents and be like, why did you name your kid the same thing as your first and last name? It's odd.
I can't even say it. Bogdanovich.
Yeah, it sounds fake. It sounds like a name that you would hear from the movie Dodgeball.
It does.
Where's DeAndre Hunter? He played 6 seasons in Atlanta. Is he still in Atlanta?
DeAndre Hunter. And I'm going to say DeAndre Hunter is not in Atlanta. Would that be right?
You are right about that.
Eastern Conference. DeAndre Hunter is now in Cleveland?
God almighty. How are you
right?
doing? Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
I thought so.
That's correct.
Woo! Have I got them all so far?
So far, you're perfect through the entire game. I didn't think you were going to stand a chance at this.
Let's go.
Where is Yusuf Nurkic? He's played for 4 teams in the NBA. Who just acquired him?
Oh my God. Not Denver.
Nope.
Why was I thinking Denver there? Yusuf Nurkic plays now for he got traded at the deadline.
He did.
Yusuf Nurkic plays for San Antonio.
Incorrect.
I don't know.
Incorrect. He plays for the Charlotte Hornets.
Gah!
Yusuf Nurkic is a Hornet.
You're kidding.
Kane is like Clippers, Celtics, Magic. Keep saying them fast enough, Kane. You might get one right.
Guessing all of them.
And Cole, we got 3 more to go.
So that was the first one.
That's the first incorrect.
I didn't know. He's in Charlotte. Imagine that.
Where's Brandon Ingram? He's been on 3 NBA teams. Who's he with now?
I think Brandon Ingram. I think Minnesota. Did he get moved from Minnesota? Brandon Ingram. I want to say.
Oh, the pressure's on now.
I know. I've already missed.
He started strong.
Every time I think Brandon Ingram, I think Minnesota.
All right. Kane says he's just going to keep naming teams, and he's like, I can't believe I know that many teams' names.
I'm going to still guess Timberwolves because I can't think of where he went.
You're not. I mean, latitudinally, you're not far off. He is with the Toronto Raptors.
Really?
He is with the Toronto Raptors. 2 more to go, Cole.
God, I forgot about that.
Here's one that started his career in Dallas. He played there for 5 seasons, but he's not there anymore. Where is Jalen Brunson?
New York Knicks.
Okay. Yeah, very easy.
Yep.
Correct. And the last one, Cole, De'Aaron Fox. He's played for 2 teams. Traded to whom on February 3rd?
God, this one should be easy. De'Aaron Fox plays.
I just won some money off De'Aaron Fox last night, as a matter of fact.
De'Aaron Fox plays for.
Kane says Lakers. No, you're thinking of what was the Lakers shooting guard? His last name was Fox. Rick Fox. He's thinking of Rick Fox. No, Rick Fox was a Laker. De'Aaron Fox is not.
I'm thinking Suns, but that's not right. Hold on. De'Aaron Fox. This one's hard. De'Aaron, can I get a hint?
No, Rick, don't look at the stream.
Don't
look at the stream. Dang it, Ricky.
I'm not looking.
I wouldn't count it. I wouldn't count it if you got it.
It's got to be the Kings.
He's not a king. He's the San Antonio Spurs.
But he was with the Kings. Yeah, he was with the Kings.
Yeah.
Who got it right?
Luke Drunkchich.
Ricky got that.
Yeah, Ricky got it right. Congratulations, Cole.
God.
You got 14 out of 16 correct.
That was hard. Even though I got 14 right.
I give you a lot of credit for that. Wow, that was fun.
How
did you know that?
Well, I've just watching that. I mean, but it made me think about it.
There's like one game on TV every night. How do you get to know all these players and where they are? That's impossible.
Golly, that was fun, man. We're going to have to do that more often. That was a lot of fun. Now, if you started getting into, like, bench guys, I would be able to
I wanted to pick names that I figured you probably knew.
Oh, my gosh, that was fun. We got to do that with another – what other sport could we do that with? Football, it might be too easy, right? How about an MLB edition one day?
Oh, that'd be hard.
That'd be hard, wouldn't it? That'd be hard.
Trade deadline, where are they now? Shoot.
I'll tell you this. I'm not anywhere versed with the MLB as much as I am the NBA.
You're sweating over there.
I am. That was hard. That was enjoyable, though. 14 of 16. 14 of 16,
That's
man. I had no idea.
That's really good.
I got lucky. I like the like mic in the background as well. Sorry for those on the stream that couldn't hear it, but that was fun. Which ones do you have? Which ones I got wrong?
The ones that you got incorrect were Yusuf Nurkic and De'Aaron Fox. Those are the only two.
Yusuf Nurkic.
You were correct about Deontis Sabonis, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, DeAndre Ayton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Damian Lillard, Marcus Smart, Marvin Bagley III, Kevin Porter, Cody Zeller, Dennis Schroeder, Bogdan, DeAndre Hunter, Brandon you got Brandon Ingram incorrect.
I did, that's right.
So you got three wrong. You got three wrong.
I do remember the Brandon Ingram.
And then you got Jalen Brunson correct.
Jalen Brunson was pretty easy. He was pretty easy because he was, like I said, he was in Dallas, and obviously they let him go to New York. And now New York's really good, man. They're a team that might make a run. Defensively, I don't know. They're getting somebody back after a couple weeks. I can't remember who, but they're explosive offensively. That was fun. So 3 wrong. Is that 13 out of
16?
13 out of 16.
14 out of 17.
I like it. Well, I might have to do a baseball one with like the Tolos who claim that they're a baseball junkie. That'd be a lot of fun. 13 of 16. I'm going to wear that on my cap the rest of the day. Diesel will take a break, come back, be joined by, speaking of baseball, Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville. I almost said football. Did you notice that? Landon Powell is next right here on the Fan Upstate. Rolling along in hour number one right here on the Fan Upstate. So good to be with you on this Thursday edition of the show, talking a little college baseball now as we bring in our first guest of the show. He is the head baseball coach at North Greenville University, Landon Powell. Coach, how are you, man?
I'm good, Cole. Sorry, a couple minutes late. I'm not sure if it messed y'all up, but I just got
Coach, I do not have your don't have your audio. Let's see if we can work on that audio. I have my Diesel. I have my slider up. Coach, can you hear us? Okay.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. That's weird. You want to do? We might get them on the phone instead. If that's not. Let's see. Let me try one thing. Coach, anything now?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Let's do this.
Let's get him on the phone.
Landon, stand by. We'll call you on the phone. We'll have you back on the air with us here in just about 30 seconds. We'll get that set up for you. As Cole is making that phone call, bringing on
you gotta love
Powell.
Technology,
yeah,
man.
Well, you think it's going to work until the moment you absolutely need it to work, and then it says, you know what? I'm not going to work. Thank you very much. North Greenville has started 8-0 on the season, Cole. They blanked everybody they've played. USC Beaufort had a 4-game stretch against them to start the season off. Then 3 different games against Hawaii Pacific University. That was part of course, their road trip there to Hawaii. Chaminade University, and they played those 4 games in Honolulu. And Cole, they've just been rolling.
They have been rolling. Coach, sorry about that. You got to love technology. You got us now?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what was going on. I could hear you guys perfect, and I had my ear pods in, and they were working fine. So I'm sorry about that.
No, all good. It could very well have been on our end. You know how technology is nowadays, Coach. I wanted to start off before we get into your team with something that North Greenville baseball tweeted out yesterday. A really cool honor. I know that you focus on your team and the opponent that you have in front of you, but congratulations, Coach, for being named in the newest class of the state of South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame. I know that right now, you're probably not focused on that, but I'm sure one day you'll look back and be pretty proud of that.
Well, I appreciate that. It's definitely a cool honor, something I'm very humbled by. And, it's not something I expected. I didn't grow up in the state of South Carolina, and I was a North Carolina boy. And to not really ever come here or play baseball here until I was 18 years old, to be able to make a big enough impact where the state felt I was deserving to go in the state's Hall of Fame was pretty cool. So I'm very honored by that, and I'm very proud to join some amazing athletes and some of the best that have ever done it here in the state of South Carolina.
Coach, you've gotten off to a hot start on the season so far, undefeated to get things going. You look at that second game you played against USC Beaufort, where you put up 29 runs, 29-3, the final score there. One of the things that always amused me most about watching Nick Saban press conferences, even if they would win by 30 points, Nick Saban would still find things that he needed to fix, that he needed to coach hard on. So as much success as you've already found this season, where do you think you still have some big time room for improvement so far?
Oh, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. We have a great pitching staff. I think we have a ton of depth. I've had some good arms and depth and pitching staffs here in the past. Our 2019 team had 2 first-team All-American starting pitchers and an All-American closer, and that was a really special pitching staff. But I actually think this pitching staff may be the deepest I've ever had. We have 17 or 18 arms that are 90 plus, and a lot of really good arms that we can throw at teams on the weekends. Having that depth will allow us to keep our arms fresh throughout the season and not have to tax the same guys over and over and wear them out. But I think the thing that we have to work on the most is our offense. I know we have scored a lot of runs so far, but I still see some weaknesses and holes in our offense. We strike out a little bit too much, and we have some approaches that need to improve. But I think if I can keep working with the hitters throughout the season and get them better and better week by week, I think our arms are going to be the strength of our team. And if we can score, 5-6 runs a game with the pitching staff we have, I think we'll be able to make a lot of noise and hopefully have a good season, good run.
We're talking to Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, and on the free Audacy app. You can also watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Coach, let's talk about the most recent trip for you guys. You took your team to Hawaii. I went to North Greenville, and I know, as most do, that Hawaii and Tigerville aren't really close to each other. Talk about that trip, and was that your first time on the island?
So I've been to Hawaii before. I went to Maui. Actually, it was a gift from Dallas Braden after the perfect game. He sent us to Maui, my wife and I. So that's the only time I had ever been to Hawaii. But this is my first time on Oahu in Honolulu. So that was a really cool experience. A lot of these players, it was the first time any of them have ever been to Hawaii. I would say, 75, 80% of them, probably more, have never been to Hawaii. I think we had 5 or 6 guys that had never been on a flight before, and this was their first flight. It was a 10.5-hour flight was their first flight. But it was a great experience, a lifetime kind of experience for some of these guys to see that world and see how different it is from South Carolina, but also just kind of relish in God's beauty and his creation and what he's done, and to get to play some baseball. So we got to play 5 games out there. Against Chaminade and Hawaii Pacific. We also went over and practiced at University of Hawaii's facility. They just put brand new turf in. We were the first team to practice on the turf, which was pretty cool. We got to go to Pearl Harbor, and we got to see the sunrise there at the Pearl Harbor Memorial.
Wow.
That was I know that was a huge deal for most of these players. I heard from so many of them how that was, one of the coolest things they've ever been a part of, and it made such an impact on them to realize, what our country's been through and what people before them have gone through to protect our country. And so Pearl Harbor was a really cool thing. We stayed at a resort right on Waikiki Beach. So the guys got to go over and swim in the ocean and do some surfing lessons and stuff on our downtime. So it was an incredible trip. We were tired. We were worn out. We played doubleheaders both Friday and Saturday down at USA Beaufort, then had an off day Sunday. And then we traveled to Atlanta Monday and flew out Tuesday morning, gone for a week. Took a red eye back, got back Tuesday morning. So we were running on fumes. Our bodies are a little beat. Played 9 games in 9 days. And we've had a couple days here to sleep in our own bed. We were in our own beds Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And then today we're going to leave on a bus to go down to Shorter University for our first conference series. So not too much time to rest and recover. We're right back at the grind.
Coach, I don't know if you've been able to take too many teams on a trip like that to Hawaii before. That's obviously a really incredible and special thing to be able to take a team to. Can you talk a little bit about how things like that early in a season can really bring a team together, and how having that shared experience can really strengthen the bond?
Well, it for sure is a great, experience for the team, and it is a way to bond the guys early. I mean, when you go on a trip like that, they spend so much time together. They get to experience kind of life-altering, cool experiences, and that unites them, that bonds them for sure. And most teams don't get to experience that until, halfway through the season or the end of the season when they go to a conference tournament or a regional. So for us to be able to have some kind of trip or opportunity like that early in the year that connects us and bonds us early, I think it's going to cause the hope that it will create a camaraderie that allows us to be as successful as possible. So I think it was a great thing from that standpoint. Logistically as a coach, it was a little bit of a nightmare. I mean, it's a stressful thing to take 50-something people and make sure everybody's got their luggage and their IDs and make sure everybody's on the bus and nobody gets lost in the airport. And, it's just a lot, all the equipment and balls and, just there's so many things that could go wrong. And, so for me as a head coach, I can't say that it was not vacation for me. I can promise you that. But we were able to get there and get back. And to my knowledge, we didn't lose any jerseys or lose any players. So I think we made it all intact.
Coach, a little bit of a shakeup, not a shakeup, but some additions, if you will, on your staff. And I know that year in and year out, that's something that you probably have to not worry about, but gauge on a yearly basis is who's going to leave you, but also who you can get. Talk about the new additions that you have on this North Greenville staff in 2025.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have not much turnover in my coaching staff over the years. I've been here 10 years, and John Kutlangus, the former Gamecock and major leaguer, was with me for 7, and Tyler Jackson, who's an in-state guy that played at College of Charleston, he coached me for 5 or 6 here. Now he is the recruiting coordinator, associate head coach at Morehead State University. So those guys were with me my first 5 or 6, 7 years, and then the last couple of years I had Hunter Dilworth and Trey Dyson, Matt Williams, J.K. Love. We've had a lot of guys that have been on the staff. So Trey Dyson, college teammate of mine, great friend of mine. He was his family was still living in Columbia while he was coaching up here, so he was missing out on his kids and their high school sports and a lot of their things. So it was a temporary situation coming up here to coach me. He was just trying to get in the college game and open up some more doors. So he had to go back to Columbia to be with his family, which opened up a spot on our staff. And I hired a guy named Micah Owings. Micah is a Georgia legend. He played at Georgia Tech and at Tulane, was an All-American in college. He's a year younger than me in college, but was a great college player back in my day, and was on the USA national team the summer after I was. He was a third-round draft pick out of college, and then played in the big leagues for 7 or 8 years, was a starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, and the Reds. He also was known, he was kind of like Shohei Ohtani before Ohtani. He was a pitcher that also hit. I think he hit 350-something major league at-bats. He won a Silver Slugger in the major leagues as the best hitting pitcher in baseball. So he joined my staff as a hitting coach, recruiting coordinator. He's doing a great job. I also added a new pitching coach named Darren Holmes. Darren Holmes played 13 years in the major leagues, won a World Series with the Yankees, I think in 96 or 97. He was also on the Braves team in the late 90s, early 2000s. Darren was known as having one of the best curveballs in Major League Baseball, but had an incredible 13-year playing career. And then also the last 10 or 12 years has been coaching in the major leagues. Last year was a bullpen coach for the Chicago Cubs. 5 years before that was the pitching coach for the 5 consecutive years for the Baltimore Orioles. Before the Orioles, he was the pitching coach for the Rockies. So he's been in the big leagues every day for the last 10 or 12 years. And, I told him that, that's a fun life and all, but he needs to come experience Division II baseball and see what the real guys are doing. So he's joined my staff. To have him as a pitching coach for these guys, they have no clue how lucky they are. And then also I already had Eddie Covensey on my staff, and he's been on my staff the last 3 years. And Eddie played 12 years in the major leagues, was a catcher for the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Indians, had a great major league career. I think he hit 130-something major league home runs. So we have four former major league players on the coaching staff.
Wow.
50, almost 50 years of major league experience on our coaching staff. And that doesn't mention guys like Matt Williams and J.K. Love and some other great coaches that are also on our staff. So, we're very, very lucky, very fortunate. These players here have the best coaches they could possibly have. I truly believe it's one of the best coaching staffs in the entire country, any level.
Landon Powell, head coach of North Greenville Baseball, joins us here on the Fan Upstate Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. How has the scheming and scouting part of baseball changed with now this new era of so much portal and player movement? They used to say, when you were playing conference opponents, and it's probably true for all sports, you get to know the team and you get to know their tendencies. Well, now that's been kind of turned on its head with so much player movement and coach movement. So how has the scheming part of the game changed since that's taken place?
Well, it's definitely a different landscape. You not only having to recruit players the first time to get them to your campus, but you got to kind of recruit them to stay. And it's just a different world now. But I really haven't changed a whole lot of what I do. I don't know how others are going to do it. And my plan is recruit players that I like and that I love their skill set, and then pour into their lives, pour into their careers, be authentic, be real with them, show them I care about them and love about them. And if I create a great atmosphere for them here and they win and they get better, then they'd be crazy to want to leave. And, when they do leave, they'll realize the grass isn't always greener. Just all you can do is kind of take care of the ground beneath your feet and cultivate the garden around you. And, the rest is going to take care of itself. We aren't going to be able to pay big NIL dollars here at North Greenville or things like that, but we can create a great experience where these players love coming to the field every day. They love to win. They're getting better. They're getting coached on and off the field. They're becoming better players and better people. Those are things I know we can do. So that's what my plan is. I'm just going to keep trying to find good players with a lot of talent that want to win, and I'm going to give them the best environment I can give them. And I think a lot of them will stay here. We did lose a couple players last year to the portal. David Lewis was an All-American first baseman that had an incredible season, was Conference Player of the Year. He got wooed away by an ACC school. He's now going to be playing third and batting in the 3-hole for an ACC school. And that was a deal, that was some NIL money and some opportunity that he just couldn't turn down. And we had another guy that played in the outfield and DH'd a little bit that was a good player that decided he just really felt like he had to play D1 baseball, that, it wasn't, for him, he didn't feel like playing at the D2 level. I'm doing finger quotes since I'm not on video. He just felt like he needed to play at a higher level. And the crazy thing is, I think the program he went to is probably a lesser program than North Greenville. I think he, in my eyes, I think he took a step down. That's what it does happen, that these kids think D1, D2, they get that picture in their brain, and they don't realize that there's plenty of D2 programs out there that are better than D1 programs as far as coaching staff, facility, winning culture. Plenty of things. I can tell you there's not a lot of D1 programs that just went to Hawaii for a week and they got to work with major league coaches every day. So it's an interesting landscape. But like I said, I'm going to take care of my team and my garden here and make sure my guys are happy and feel loved and appreciated. And, the ones that I want will stay, because that's the type of player I want. I want someone that's loyal and someone that cares and wants to win and be a part of what we're doing. And if they're not one of those, then that's okay too.
Coach, my last question for you. When you look at your team, your roster, obviously the lineup, there could be some shakeups throughout the course of the season. But when you look back at the 2022 national championship team, are there tendencies, are there things you look for early in the season? I know it's still early February, but are there things that you notice and say, man, that could be a really strong spot? Or now that you've won a national championship, are there things that you notice early in the season that you think, man, we've really got to get better on that if we want to be able to have another special season like you did in 2022?
Yeah, I think both. Obviously, having a couple teams, I think 22 and 23's teams were some of the best teams in the country. We won the national championship in 22, but then going back to the World Series in 23 and really feeling like we had the best team there, just kind of ran into a buzzsaw one game, and that's how baseball goes. But we know what it takes to be the best team, and we know that you have to be really solid in your lineup 1 through 9. The years that we were in Cary playing for national championships, our 9-hole hitter hit 330 with 13 home runs both years. And that's a 9-hole hitter. So you have to be really good top to bottom in your order, and you have to have some starting pitching that, can get 5 or 6 innings in a game, and you got to have some shutdown closers at the back end. So, that's the formula. And for us, we think we have all those pieces this year. It's just kind of figuring out where all the pieces of the puzzle kind of fit. And that's what the early part of the season is moving those pieces of the puzzle around until you get that perfect little mesh. And, that's the fun part of coaching. And you have to deal with some adversity and some injuries and things along the way. But that's why you have depth, and that's why you have, next man up mentality. So I love our team. I love our roster. The camaraderie on our team has been phenomenal so far to date. This is a really good group of guys. They love each other. They love to play. So I got zero complaints when it comes to that. We are still young. We got a lot of young, talented players, a lot of depth in pitching. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get in the depths of things here this season with this group of guys and get in the trenches and go to war.
Landon, sticking with that idea of camaraderie there for just 1 second, can you speak to the modern players' ability to adjust to each other quickly, to adjust to a whole new teammate, whole new location? Do you feel that that's true, that modern players do have a better ability or skill set at that? And is that something you try to identify when you're, looking at potential players who may want to join your program?
Yeah, I think that today's players probably do adapt to, let's call it, the change in roster, the change in landscape. They'd probably adapt better than guys back in my day because, now travel ball and that scene, it's ever changing. It's very fluid. And so guys will play on multiple different travel ball teams. Whereas like when I was growing up, I played with the same group of guys from T-ball all the way through high school. And it was like the same group all the time. I'm not saying that which way is better. I would prefer playing with the same group of guys in a family and kind of getting really used to each other. And there's like that camaraderie. You can close your eyes and know what your buddy's doing at the position next to you. You can, for me as a catcher, I knew what my pitcher was thinking before I even put my fingers down. That's how you become a great team. So it's easier not to have the turnover and have a more consistent roster. I think the successful teams are probably those teams that have more consistent rosters. But I do think that players in today's world probably adapt and adjust better because of the travel ball world that they're growing up in. So we're trying to create consistency here, and we want to have a consistent roster and a bunch of guys that are a family and love playing with each other every year. And I know that there's going to be guys that leave here and time to time are going to transfer to other programs, but I hope we can keep the the massive core of what we want, and I believe we will, because I think we got a great product, a great environment, and people love playing here.
Coach, fantastic stuff as always. We really appreciate you taking some time to hop on with us, and best of luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and I'd love to get back on with you guys in a couple weeks.
Landon Powell, absolutely. Coach Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville. Fantastic stuff. If you missed that interview or just tuned in, you can download the free Audacy app, AUDACY, and that is where you can find that interview at any time in the chapters feature Diesel.
When we come back, Cole, Jameis Winston was mic'd up at the Super Bowl, and his very interesting analogy for what it's like to field a punt in the NFL. You're going to have to hear this next. Cole, definitely more entertaining than the actual Super Bowl, where the mic'd up suites all over the stadium in New Orleans on Sunday night. There was a room, Cole, that had both Jameis Winston, who we all know is a future national treasure broadcaster.
Yeah,
we all
100%.
absolutely love Jameis around here, and comedian Bert Kreischer. And they were talking about what it's like to field a punt. And Jameis Winston, like you could give me 100 years and I would never come up with an analogy like Jameis Winston's. Here's what he said it's like to field a punt.
Terrifying. It is, man. I think special teams in general is very terrifying. Especially, can you imagine looking at the moon and you have 11 ostriches running at you full speed, and you have a piece of corn on the bottom of your chin.
A what?
I can't imagine that.
A piece of corn?
I can't imagine. You're looking at the moon. You got some corn on your chin and 11 ostriches. Do ostriches eat corn? I don't know. Yeah. And they also disembowel you with their claws. They cut you open from the center like dinosaurs. What? Yeah, they did it to Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash? He got almost died by an ostrich. I think. You may want to Google that.
Can anyone fact check this story about Johnny Cash almost getting killed by an ostrich? But imagine looking at the moon. You got a piece of corn on your chin. You got 11 ostriches running at you.
Where does he come up with this stuff, man?
What?
Where does he come up with it? That is, and what's the comedian's name?
Bert Kreischer.
He's hilarious.
He's famous for taking his shirt off.
Yeah, he is so funny. Corn on your chin. Wait, my question is, Jameis Winston fielded a punt?
Says he did.
It must have been like, I think he maybe said middle school or high school or something.
Remember the Jackass clip where Johnny Knoxville fields a punt dressed as a Tennessee volunteer player, and the Alabama Crimson Tide punt return team just absolutely buries him at the 5-yard line?
Did he have corn on his chin?
No, but he had some on his shirt after they were done.
God, that's great. It's time, man. I think it's time to go ahead and just say, Jameis, you know what? You're a decent quarterback, but let's go ahead and get you in the booth. Let's just go ahead and make the transition. He's too funny. He's too funny not to be in the booth. All right, coming up in the very next segment, I need your interaction, Tolos. I asked the question to you, to Diesel as well. Now that we are in the NFL offseason, what are the storylines in the NFL that interest you the most? That's next. Rolling along with you, Tolos, right here on a Thursday edition of Wire to Wire. So good to be with you. We are diving into the NFL. The offseason has begun, Diesel. Can you believe that? Super Bowl, it's in the past. It's history. It is in the encyclopedia, if you will. And now it is the NFL offseason. So what do we do in the offseason? We talk about storylines, right? We talk about narratives. We have a lot of trades happening once the NFL offseason officially opens here in a few weeks. Combine, NFL draft in April. And then before you know it, it'll be August, Diesel, in time for training camp. But until then, we talk about the biggest storylines in the NFL, and that's where I start. That's where I ask the question to you Tolos out there, which stands for turn on, leave on. That's what you are, those faithful listeners of the Fan Upstate. Where do you go? What do you think is the biggest NFL storyline when it comes to grabbing your attention? Where do you go to feed your NFL hunger over the next 6 years with the biggest storylines? Now, Diesel, I heard Rich Eisen talking about this earlier, and they were just floating this idea around, and you brought this up during the break. It's not official. It's a rumor, and I believe Kane was the one that brought that up. Is that right, with Trevor Lawrence?
He did.
Nothing official yet, but
No.
what did Kane say?
Kane said that he's hearing the Steelers are talking about trading for Trevor Lawrence. Now, I did some digging on this because we have a lot of people who will send us. I'm not saying you're one of them, Kane. I'm just saying a lot of people who will send us random rumors and information that's going on out there. And of course, we have to hold ourselves to a slightly higher standard.
Yeah.
Not much higher. I mean, come on, it's us. But we do want to check and see if there's any validity to the information first before we just splatter it out there over the airwaves, because people look to us as an authority for some reason. And I can't find anybody, Kane, but one Big Ten basketball writer.
Oh, that's reliable.
With 21,000 followers who's reporting on this. It'd be wild news to hear that a Big Ten basketball reporter somehow got this scoop before Adam Schefter, before Diana Rossini, all the big ones that you go to first. But if there is any validity to this whatsoever, the question is who really gets the better end of this deal?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Trevor has been buns in Jacksonville, and he'd be going to the Steelers. You know, like I genuinely believe a lot of these guys need a second team, a second chance to go be great. Like, you were great. Trevor was great in college. We know that. Goes to Jaguars. Everybody around him sucks. And no matter what they do, they can't get a coaching situation figured out. They can't get talent around him figured out. And then a lot of careers just piddle out for that reason.
They do. Tolos, what are you interested in when it comes to the biggest storylines this NFL offseason? I want to hear from you. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. 844-326-3663. Save that number in your phone. That way you can just text or call the Fan Upstate. Phone lines are open as well, asking for the storylines that you're most interested in this NFL offseason. Diesel, I will start with one, and it is in the city of LA with Matthew Stafford. We know that reports have been circulating over the last few weeks that Cooper Kupp might be on his way out of LA. And now there are what ifs, right, when it comes to Matthew Stafford and where he'll finish his career. His brother-in-law was just hired as an assistant coach of the New York Giants. There have been rumors floating around there from Adam Schefter. But in your mind, and also in the mind of the Tolos, I want to hear from you on this. Is Stafford in L.A., is it expired? Like, is the label set expired on Matthew Stafford? I mean, he's already – L.A.'s the second team, right? He started in Detroit, went to L.A., won a Super Bowl. He is up there in age. Should Matthew Stafford look at L.A. as a place he should retire, or do you think that that milk carton with Matthew Stafford's face on it is now expired?
I say just go ahead and end your career right here, right now, bud. You're super rich. You have a wife and kids. You got your brains are still functional. I say just go ahead and hang it up, man. Like, honestly. What do you want to happen wherever you go next? Do you want to go 8-7? Do you want to struggle? No, you don't. I mean, you had a good thing go in LA. Just go ahead and call it right then and there. How about it?
How old is Matthew Stafford? Is he 37 years old?
Jeez.
37.
He's older than Cam Newton.
So Matthew Stafford at 37 years old. You know what? Matthew Stafford brought a city to LA. He was an incredible quarterback in Detroit. Had fantastic stats. Never got it done in Detroit, but a lot of people could argue they didn't ever have a team that could give him a legitimate shot in Detroit. Diesel. Matthew Stafford, I do agree with you. It might be time to hang it up. However, the LA Rams are not the only team with an unsettled quarterback dynamic for the 2025 offseason. You have the Browns, you have the Jets, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who went into the season with Fields and Russell Wilson and played Fields. He looked great. Then they stuck Russell Wilson out there, and you know how the story ended. Also, Tennessee Titans, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Giants, the Vikings, Sam Darnold, the Saints with Derek Carr, and the Rams with Matthew Stafford. Those in particular, with the question of what they will do with their quarterbacks, intriguing for me. Quarterbacks always what? They always move the meter. They always are talked about more than any other position. I do think it's interesting, though, when you look at a team like Minnesota, Diesel, who had Sam Darnold and had a phenomenal regular season. They plummeted, and toward the end of the season, they were not able to get it done when it mattered the most. I just think you're talking about quarterbacks in Wilson and Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford, who are all just old. They're all old quarterbacks. It may be time for them to go to the draft in April and say, hey, let's upgrade there.
I think it's time for those three guys to find one more, perhaps Aaron Rodgers, and say, you know what, let's go start a pickleball team. Let's do that. That's one of mine, Cole. What's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers now that the Jets have made it official? They are moving on from Aaron Rodgers. It's funny, Cole. I just searched his name on Twitter just to see what people are saying out there about him. And somebody shared out the video of Aaron Rodgers carrying the American flag coming out of the tunnel for the very first time as a New York Jet. And they said, this is literally the best highlight Aaron Rodgers had with the Jets coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah. Are they wrong?
No, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Cause it was the first play of the game. I think it was very early in that game that Aaron got hurt, but where does Aaron Rodgers want to be? What does he want to do? He's old AF. It's time for him to go ahead and retire. I mean,
it is.
Is it plausible? Not probable, but is it plausible that maybe if the Rams move on from Stafford, an LA team could want Aaron Rodgers, let him finish his career in the state where he started his career there at Cal? That could be a really interesting storyline. I don't think it's going to happen, right? I think most of these teams now understand there's not a lot of value in Aaron Rodgers unless you brought him on as a backup. But Aaron Rodgers is not going to want to be a backup. He's number one. He's top billing star in his own movie. So I don't think it's going to happen.
And I also think Aaron Rodgers, Diesel, is in a similar boat with Cam Newton, that regardless of how you feel about him, people talk about him, right? He generates clicks. He generates buzz. And we've talked about Cam Newton twice in the last 2 weeks, and those segments, we know they generate buzz. People love having an opinion when it comes to Cam Newton, and I think it's similar with Aaron Rodgers. I appreciate, I've said this before, I appreciate what Aaron Rodgers did for the NFL. He's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. However, there is no doubt that it's time for him to hang it up. I tweeted out earlier, Diesel, imagine a future Hall of Fame quarterback that is not wanted. I mean, he's on the back end of his career. He's not good, but he's not wanted by the New. Imagine waking up and knowing that you aren't wanted by the New York Jets. Ugh. That's bad.
That is bad.
That's bad, man. So I think he needs to hang it up.
Now, you asked me this question yesterday in the 5 o'clock fight. Will Cam Newton ever get his own network TV show?
That's right.
Now, could you imagine here just for a moment, the Motley Crue, the new version of NBA on TNT?
Don't say it.
With Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, and Aaron Rodgers. Are you telling me those three together would not make explosive television?
I don't even know. Like, would they even be able to make it through one show? Would they even? I mean, those three together would be insane. I don't know. I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers off the field. There are a lot of people who aren't, right? He kind of seems like a douchebag in a way. However, you can't ignore what he did in Green Bay. Fantastic quarterback. He'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. So I agree with you there. now that New York has said they don't want any part of him, I don't know. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe Pittsburgh goes and gets some Diesel, but I don't know right now today. I don't know if he's wanted anywhere. I don't know if any NFL team out there wants the guy.
Is he the Bill Belichick of NFL quarterbacks right now?
He's old. He's what,
I wasn't going there. I wasn't going with the age thing. I was just going that, he's kind of an asshat. Nobody wants him.
Nobody wants him. And it's true. Some say he's washed up. Some say he's not any good anymore. And he wasn't good. He wasn't good this past season. There's no denying that. He was not good. Now, another storyline that has my interest, Diesel, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, those guys, Travis Hunter, the NFL draft coming up in just 2 months now? 2 months away from the NFL draft in April. A lot of storylines coming out of the draft just by itself. Would a team be bold enough to take Shedeur Sanders first over Cam Ward? We'll see. But I think those two in particular, Diesel, along with guys like Jackson Dart and other good quarterbacks who came out of college this year, pretty much dominate the draft headlines, right? Like when you talk about draft in the NFL offseason for the next 2 months, you're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders and you're going to talk about Miami's Cam Ward. Those two are going to dominate the headlines. Does that pique your interest at all?
It does. Number one, why? Give me a good reason why someone would take the risk on Shedeur over Cam Ward. I get that Shedeur is a good player. I'm not knocking him.
Last name.
But yeah, exactly. Exactly. It'd be like signing Tim Tebow as a tight end just so you could sell some Tebow jerseys. Sure. Look, Shedeur is a good player, but I mean, who in their right mind? And somebody will start talking about this. It'll be big hair. What's his name? Who does all of the NFL draft analytics?
Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper Jr. He'll say we got to. Shedeur Sanders is the most complete player I've ever seen. Blah blah blah. Nobody's going to believe it. However, Cole, these things will start picking up steam. There's like a little internal rumor that starts happening. And then a group think happens among the NFL GMs who are deciding who it is they're going to draft. And then one of them gets twitchy and says, you know what? I got to make that move. I got to go get Shedeur Sanders because now I believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a better pro than Cam Ward or Jackson Dart or whoever it may be. Now, if I'm Jackson Dart, I'm sitting there saying, you crappy teams fight over him.
Yeah.
Fight over them. That's fine. Because I would rather go in that 12 to 20 range. Because at least there, I know I'm going somewhere that's got some pieces.
You know what? I don't know if this will ever come to fruition, but when I shake my magic 8-ball, you know what I see? When I shake my magic 8-ball, I see the perfect situation for the LA Rams. And you know who that is? It's Jackson Dart.
I like
Jackson Dart in LA. He fits the persona. He fits what LA is. He's kind of high profile. He likes being in the spotlight. Matthew Stafford's aging. What if they said, hey, Matthew, go one more year. Let's bring in Jackson Dart, back up, learn from you, learn from one of the best quarterbacks in the game, right? Who's won a championship. And then the reins are in Jackson Dart's hands after that. I'd be fascinated with that.
Well, if you want to hear something that's going to blow your mind, Cole, this is on a CBS Sports mock draft just released 6 hours ago. You know whose name is not in the top 32?
Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart.
That's
crazy, right?
That is crap.
They've currently got Cam Ward going 1, Abdul Carter going 2, all the way up to the second pick for the Cleveland Browns.
That high, man.
They got Shedeur 3 to the Giants, Travis Hunter 4 to the Patriots. Mason Graham, McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona.
What site is this through?
This is on CBSSports.com.
Wow.
This one was put together by Josh Edwards.
Abdul Carter second?
Yeah.
Second? And then the last thing I'd say is the free agents, right? Like, does the Cincinnati sign what do they do with Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson? It's the same situation Dallas is in. Their big three are tied up. I mean, it's gonna control your entire roster. So those three are interesting. Also, Diesel, the free agents that are available are going to be available in a few weeks from now. Kansas City Chiefs guard Trey Smith. You have DJ Reed, Charvarius Ward from San Francisco, Khalil Mack, Josh Sweat from Philadelphia, who just dominated the Super Bowl, Ronnie Stanley, best offensive lineman that Baltimore has. Chris Godwin out of Tampa Bay. Higgins, Sam Darnold. There's a list of free agents that could make things intriguing. I would hope for a team like Carolina. I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, how much I would love, and I'm not a Panthers fan, Diesel, but how much I would love for Carolina to go and get T. Higgins. I mean, imagine the tickets you'd be able to sell and how that would impact Bryce Young. I don't know if it's possible, but there are enough impact guys in free agency that Carolina has to take a hard look at these guys. I'm not saying they'll be able to go get Josh Sweat or Khalil Mack, but you've got to think that maybe Chris Godwin stay in the same division. I don't know. They're going to have some money in a couple of years. Why not swing now?
Texter says throw Marshawn Lynch on that TV show too. That's the future NFL version of NBA on TNT with with Jameis Winston, Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, and what was the fourth name we said? God, I'm blanking on it now. Cam Newton.
Cam.
Oh, my God.
How'd you forget Cam?
Yeah, well, I wish I could. When we come back, Cole, on the other side of the break, we go back to the guest line, and we bring on Chapel Fowler, who covers Clemson for the state newspaper. We'll talk baseball, which is getting started this weekend. We'll talk basketball. We'll talk a little bit of football as well. That conversation coming up next. Well, a lot of our Tolos, Cole, are ready to just skip right over basketball season. They're not paying attention until we get into the NCAA tournament. For them, it's officially college baseball season. It's here, and I feel like a lot of our Tolos are ready to dive headlong into college baseball, and that begins in earnest for two of our Palmetto teams this weekend. South Carolina getting started. Clemson is as well. And to talk about the Tigers on the diamond, we go to the phone lines, bring in Chapel Fowler, who covers Clemson for the state newspaper. Chapel, what sport are you most personally excited about right now? What has the majority of your attention?
It's a good question. Good to be with you guys. I certainly appreciate the turn to fall in baseball and baseball weather, I think, more than anything else, which we definitely need some of up here after one day of 70 degrees and then like all hell breaking loose and the chilliest, rainiest day I can remember for what feels like a week since then. And you got spring practice around the corner for football, but I'm personally a big basketball fan and player myself. So I think just the slow turn toward knowing we've got conference tournaments coming and March Madness and stuff. And obviously with Clemson, that team's been really good this year. So interesting to see how that will all go. But just as a North Carolina native and semi-solid basketball player myself, I'm going to have to go with March Madness around the corner between those three, but they would all be a good option, whichever one you chose.
Chapel, you mentioned Brad Brownell's squad and the season they've had. You've beaten Kentucky, you've beaten North Carolina and Duke all in the same season, something that hadn't happened in a long time for any program to be able to say they can or they have done that, have accomplished that. When you look at where we are now in the let's call it the middle of February, March Madness around the corner, stretching out, finishing out ACC play for the Tigers. What do you feel like after covering this team? What do you feel like the legitimate ceiling is for this Clemson team down the stretch and into March Madness?
Yeah, it's crazy to be sitting here around this time and say that their ceiling is probably as high as it was last year. But, I mean, they've kind of proven that so far. I couldn't imagine, 2 years ago, I was thinking, oh my goodness, how are they going to replace Hunter Tyson? And PJ Hall becomes even better than he was, and Ian Shefflin becomes the most improved player. And then PJ's going after this year, and you think, oh my gosh, how are they going to replace PJ? And Chase Hunter takes his game to another level. He's 50, 40, 90 for the first time ever and has made more threes this year than he has at any other point in his career. Has totally just turned himself around as a shooter. Shefflin's been good, and you add in just another round of transfers that they've really hit on for what it feels like the third year in a row in a really big way. And they're kind of right there. I think I haven't looked at the most recent updated brackets, but I think they're somewhere sitting around a 7 seed right now among all the kind of predictions and how those average out. They were a 6 seed last year. So, I mean, just based off seeding alone, it's a pretty similar resume. And yeah, I think anybody who watched what they did against Duke in a very tournament style atmosphere, just in the stakes and the quality of opponent and the sort of gritty down the stretch, maybe not a ton of fouls being called, just like letting the guys play to kind of grind out one like that is the type of thing that can really bode well for your chances. So not that I thought I'd be saying it, but I think their ceiling's right around that, Sweet 16, Elite 8 range. I think with the way they're playing right now, again, this could change depending on how the rest of the season goes. But I think if you ask any Clemson basketball fan right now, they'd be happy about making the tournament. But I feel like anything past at least like a really competitive round of 32 game, would they really be disappointed in? Because I think this team has shown us, especially in this last 3-4 days, that they really can go farther than that.
Chapel, with 6 games left to play, only one of them a quad 1 game left on the schedule. That would be the road game against SMU coming up in 9 days' time. What's the messaging from Brad Brownell to his team to try to keep them focused? I mean, in his mind or in your mind, do you believe that they really have to go perfect down the stretch? That'd be, a tough task to ask any team to win 8 in a row down the stretch. But does it feel like they need to close this thing out undefeated, or can they afford to lose one of those?
I think there's definitely a loss or two afforded within there. Again, nobody's ever a lock until the bracket comes out on Selection Sunday. But, all the projections have them somewhere in the 80 to 90% chance range of making the tournament. Obviously, your seeding can fluctuate a lot within that. But in the same way they did last year, they've picked up some really good non-conference wins and arguably more importantly avoided totally brutal non-conference losses. And, that kind of gives you some buffer to where you can slip up an ACC play. Like you lose in triple overtime at home to Georgia Tech. And the trap game that everybody saw coming, which, maybe doesn't make it exactly a trap game. Maybe it just shows that Tech is a good team that is prone to upsetting the top of the ACC pretty frequently. But you can afford a few things like that. I think in the same way how 2 years ago, the South Carolina loss was kind of a blemish on their resume. Obviously, they had a few more really bad, low-level losses 2 years ago that kept them out of the tournament. But, that's one that isn't great on the resume, but it was a road game, so it's not, the worst quality of loss you can have. Tech's in there too. But, yeah, you're looking at these, 6 more regular season games for them. I certainly don't think you need to go 6-0 to feel good about your chances. Honestly, you could probably even go 500 depending on which games you win and lose and feel okay. But obviously, 2 years ago, they start 10-1 in the ACC, and the slide down the stretch is what kept them out of the tournament in the first place, despite having 23 wins, 14 ACC wins, whatever it was. So I think if you talk about what message to send, just point to 2 years ago when they were left out of the field and weren't even the first team out of the field. They were the third team out of the field, despite doing all that good stuff 2 seasons ago. I think that hurt carries over from the people who were there and even the people who weren't there. So they have some easy motivation if they just, go on basketballreference.com and click back 2 seasons about why you can't really be complacent, even though you're in a good spot right now.
Chappell Fowler, the state newspaper, joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. Chappell, you've been at the games. Does the crowd get going any louder than when Victor Locken hits a three-point shot? I mean, against Duke, he was incredible. He's been playing his best basketball as of late. Is this who Clemson fans can expect Locken to be down the stretch and in the tournament? Or do you think that the high numbers offensively that Locken is putting up right now may be just for a short time?
Yeah, I don't think you can ask him or count on him to score 22 a night down the rest of the stretch. But really, he's been a really wonderful pickup. I mean, this is a guy, taller, 4 years at Cincinnati, had some injury issues while he was there. Not exactly an unknown, but Clemson kind of gambled on him and that, hey, here's a veteran player who's been around when he's been healthy. He's been really good, and kind of betting that they could keep him healthy and fit him in that 2-big system with Ian Shefflin, and kind of make stuff work out. Obviously, you weren't bringing him in to be your number one scorer. You had a few guys ahead of him in that compartment. And even if you look at their season averages, it's not like he's tearing it up compared to other guys, your Chase Hunters and Zachary's and Shefflin's. But he is a guy who can really just go off like that. And this is probably the better stretch of it. But he's had those games at various points in non-conference play and conference play. As long as he's not in foul trouble, he really has shown a nice touch around the basket. I mean, some of the finishes he had against UNC and Duke were more, finesse as opposed to pure power, which I thought was really impressive for someone his size to be so nimble, and ducking under guys and twisting finishes and stuff like that. And when he's hitting the three as well, 4 3-pointers in the first half against UNC, I don't think he's ever done that at any point in his career. That was crazy to see. Probably don't want him shooting 5 3-pointers every single game, given how good he is on the block. But yeah, you needed something special probably to happen if you're Clemson to sweep Duke and UNC in that home stretch and really feel good about where you were headed, heading into mid-February, March, all this stuff. And he totally provided that. I wouldn't have told you leading into that little 3-game, 36-hour stretch where they beat both of them 48 hours, that it was going to be him. But yeah, he delivered, and the crowd loves him. I think it's for good reason.
Chappell, in college football, they're handing out extra years of eligibility for all kinds of things. Do we know if Brad Brownell's working on a harebrained scheme to get Victor another year at Clemson? I mean, maybe an ESL second year, maybe, who knows what kind of random ways they may try to get them an extra year of eligibility. But as far as recruiting goes, in your mind, is that Brad Brownell's priority is to try to get a body the size of Victor Locken that they can bring up through their own system and hopefully keep around for a couple of years? Because having Victor for 1 year is fantastic, but you certainly want to be able to have a guy like that for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the waiver stuff. Again, this is Brad's words, not my reporting or anything. But he mentioned on another radio show earlier this week that they were looking into that extra year thing with actually Jaden Zachary, who started his career at JUCO, and that they felt his words optimistic about him being able to get another year and come back in 25, 26. So I think you've got, again, just looking ahead to next year, since we're thinking about it. Zachary, Del Jones, some other guards, guys who've been in the system a while, Dylan Hunter. You're in a pretty good spot there. But again, you're losing Victor, you're losing Ian Shefflin. So I think whether it's portal or high school, again, it'll probably be portal at this point. That probably is going to be their top priority in the offseason. They've had a really good front court for a few years now between Hunter Tyson, PJ Hall, Ian Shefflin. Now you've got Victor in the mix. That's a really good run of like all ACC guys that you either kind of recruited locally or picked out of the portal. And I think that kind of shows the strength of Clemson basketball in recruiting is usually, combining some group of homegrown guys with a few select portal acquisitions and kind of slowly meshing and making it all work out. So yeah, they've got a good guard coming into the next class in Zach Foster, who's top 175. He's probably even higher at this point. But yeah, I think if you're just looking ahead to 25, 26, it's going to be about replacing the production up there because Victor and Ian is a pretty special and unique combination in terms of what they can do.
You can give him a follow on Twitter, on X, at Chapel Fowler. Chapel, about 5 hours ago, you tweeted out that 6 players got NFL Combine invites. Running back Phil Maffa, Jake Brenningstool, Marcus Tate, Peyton Page, Barrett Carter, and R.J. Mickens. Of those that are invited to the NFL Combine, you've covered them on a day-in and day-out basis. Those 6, I believe I just read off, you say which one of those has the potential to have the best NFL career?
I'm going to say Jake Brenningstool off the bat. I think what he did at the Senior Bowl was eye-opening, and there's a lot of buzz around him. But if you're going to ask me like a sleeper in terms of a guy who maybe sticks around for a while, I think R.J. Mickens, obviously he's got the NFL pedigree with his dad having played, is someone who seems to be gaining a little bit of momentum as well. And then how about Peyton Page? Like this is a guy who wasn't a total lot for the Combine and played really well at some bowl games before that and kind of got that invite as a result. We've seen some older dudes like that who are 4th year, 5th year. I mean, Clemson, another example, KJ Henry, a guy who didn't really come on till late. DeMonte Capehart, obviously had an injury-riddled season and came back for this season right here. But he's another guy who, if he puts together another good year on tape, is going to be coming out and being a legitimate prospect as a 5th year, 6th year. So, Page is a guy who came in, struggled with his weight, cut a bunch of weight, became a rotational guy, became a starter, became a leader. I think he's one that's worth keeping an eye on. Whether it's late in the draft or undrafted, he feels like the type of guy who can maybe make an impact and stick around. But I'll lean Brenningstool right now, just because of the height, the size, the productivity. This is a very passing heavy offense in the NFL for just about every team now. So I think he's going to be a good fit for somebody. I'm not sure, but someone will probably draft him high in fantasy regardless.
Chapel Fowler of the State Newspaper covers Clemson, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Baseball starts their season against a pretty tough slate. A couple teams that finished real well last year. Oklahoma State finished 18th. Arizona finished 21st. Ole Miss, they lost 6 straight to close under 500, but they were a ranked team for a good part of the 2024 season. Most teams start their seasons with a whole bunch of cupcakes. Clemson taking a little bit different route. Why take the risk? Is it even a risk? What are your thoughts on the opening weekend?
Yeah, funny enough, I just finished a story looking into that's going to post tomorrow. Really interesting setup they have down there at Globe Life Field. It's kind of like college baseball. At least some of these top programs are shifting more to the college football model of, pursuing a marquee opener or a big week 1 game as opposed to a cupcake. Like if you're Clemson, you go from playing their first 2 home opening weekend opponents under Backish for the last 2 years have been Binghamton and Xavier, and they swept both those teams 3-0. So, it's nice to get people out to the home ballpark, but you're not exactly, putting a thriller on for them when you're winning those games that way. And again, wins are important, but I think what they're getting down there outside of just exposure and playing in a major league ballpark, which is cool and the players seem excited about, it's just getting an immediate test. I think for Clemson specifically, and South Carolina, you could say the same thing if they were to ever do this, just because they play each other so early in the season. I feel like stuff like this is maybe even a little bit more valuable to the two of them, because a lot of times that first Palmetto Series game, that whole weekend is kind of the first time that either of these teams play like a legitimate power conference. So like somebody who's on their level in terms of body, sheer talent, all that stuff. So for Clemson to kind of get a head start this weekend, they could go 0-3, who knows? But whatever they do, wins, losses, they're going to come out of that knowing, all right, here's where we're at, here's where we need to improve. And obviously that kind of gives you a leg up in preparation for South Carolina and then into conference play. But yeah, credit to them for, switching it up and doing it different and not playing, I don't know, Iona. I'm trying to think of a random northern school that doesn't have good weather in February and wants to come to the Southeast to play. It should be fun, but yeah, save your $30 for Flow Sports if you're trying to watch it, or just listen to the radio broadcast with Eric Backett instead, which might be pretty compelling theater, I think.
It could be. As you mentioned, Eric Backett will not coach the first two games because of the ejection. Chapel, fantastic stuff as always, man. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon, man.
Thanks, guys. Always fun. Appreciate it.
Chapel Fowler, the state newspaper. It's crazy to think that Clemson baseball, they had a deep run last year, Diesel, and it's just mind-boggling to think, man, here we are again already. We get so consumed with football, and then football season ends. You got a little basketball, and then just like that, we're off to the races. Opening weekend is tomorrow.
Well, I'm telling you, these college athletic departments love the fact that people are getting addicted to college baseball. It's been a slow churn to get this thing going, right? I mean, it really, I've said it before, it kind of took the SEC-ification of college baseball to really ramp up the atmospheres, to ramp up the facilities. And that's not to say the ACC has been weak in those regards, but it hasn't necessarily captured the imagination of the people of South Carolina. And I'm talking about people who want to watch all college baseball, who are into it, not only just for their team, but just into it because college baseball is fun to watch and fun to be a part of.
It really is, man. I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see. South Carolina should sweep. I'll talk more about it tomorrow, but they should sweep. Clemson, as you mentioned, Diesel, a little bit tougher of a test. Starting the season at Globe Life Field, a beautiful stadium. Diesel, it is in the same parking lot as AT&T Stadium, which is the Cowboys Stadium. However, there is also a baseball stadium to the left of it that is the old Ranger Stadium. You know what the difference is? The old one doesn't have a roof. It was so hot, they finally said, look, we're building a new stadium, a new field for the Rangers, because in the dead of summer in Texas, sitting outside – not recommended.
Not fun?
No, not at all. And, man, Globe Life Field's it's beautiful. It is a nice venue. It's like I said, enclosed stadium. So it should be fun.
A lot of people hate on my constantly bringing up that all NFL stadiums should have closable, not necessarily permanently closed domes. But I think, Cole, if teams started having it, it would be like having heated seats in your car. You never really knew you needed it or wanted it until you had it. And then you're like, man, this is too bougie and too nice. I can't go without it.
Yeah, Bills fans, not bougie, right? Browns fans.
Same first letter.
Not it's true. Hey, get your tissues ready. In the very next segment, this audio, if you Tolos have not heard this yet, it's so inspirational. Josh Allen, when he was awarded the MVP trophy, said something that got quite the reaction from the person that he was talking about. I'll have that for you next. You know, in a world that is divided by just about everything, whether it's what you're eating on the night of the Super Bowl or politics or something that somebody's going to use to divide you and I, Diesel and I, the Tolos, there is always room in the world for a little bit of good, and we need more of that. Josh Allen, credit to him, Diesel. This audio is Josh Allen when he received his MVP award, talking about someone in the organization of the Buffalo Bills. And then the second piece that plays right after is that person that he was talking about. Here's Josh Allen. In case you haven't seen this, get your tissues ready.
Slick Rick in the mailroom to the cafeteria upstairs. Like it truly takes everybody to have team success.
When I left work Thursday, I was mentioning, I said, if Josh doesn't get MVP, I'm going to cry. I said, I'm going to cry because he deserves it. I mean, he's that important to our team. So basically, when I was watching the awards, when he went on stage, you know, everything, I was happy that he had won it. And it went from joyful to crying because when he mentioned my name, I just broke down. I broke down because I'm just an average person. I mean, but when he mentioned my name, it was like, oh my God, he just mentioned my name on national television, you know? So it was like, I was just crying. I was crying. Then I started getting phone calls from friends, and I was crying on the phone to them. It's still like a dream.
Ooh, somebody cutting onions in here, man. Who's cutting onions on a Thursday afternoon?
I'm not crying.
That's tough. That's tough to watch and not get emotional. How freaking amazing is that Josh Allen audio shouting out Slick Rick in the mailroom? That's what we need more in life, man. We need more of that, Diesel, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the best people in any organization understand that it takes great people at every facet of your organization for everything to run well. I mean, it's certainly the quarterback and the players and the front office staff and the head coach. They have an awful lot to do with the team's success. But I'm telling you, if you know the cafeteria staff is just off one day and the food tastes like crap, or they just don't show up one day and the players start getting disgruntled that their meals aren't ready on time, or that their mail's not getting to their locker rooms, or that, you know, whatever hasn't been cleaned up. These are those types of things, Cole, that start to like snowball, and you start to question, does everybody in this organization have a winning mindset? And, you know, I love when you can point out someone. I mean, it could have easily have been, like I said, Janice, the lunch lady. They could have pointed her out, and she would have had the exact same response. And so you love to see these kinds of stories. This is kind of like, you know, before all of the negativity happened there in Houston, when Deshaun Watson was giving away game checks to staff that really needed it, who had just gone through a big time hardship. And, you know, to just the people at the highest level who have the fame and the influence or the money, recognizing and appreciating the people below them on the totem pole. That's huge.
To me, it says so much about Josh Allen, right? Because, you know, I think we all could take a lesson, and I've heard this before, and I try to live by it, that you should treat, you know, the janitor the same way you treat the CEO, right? That just because somebody's taking out the trash or cleaning the bathroom floors, that doesn't make them any more insignificant than whoever owns the company, right? And to me, it just says a lot about Josh Allen, because
well, he's still a bum-ass quarterback.
Oh, my gosh. He's you went there. He can't beat Patrick Mahomes, but it says a lot about him because he didn't have to say that. And for him to, you know, it took him 0.2 seconds to say that. For him to say that about Slick Rick, man, look, there's so many people who don't get the attention, you know, or the gratification from doing their job. And you know, many of you Tolos out there, some days you may feel that way. Some days you may feel like you're never appreciated. And man, it's just good to hear people like Josh Allen putting some good back into the world, because boy, do we need more of that.
Well, Tolos, you have a chance to spread some good in the world, or you can go the opposite way, spread some negativity. You get to say whatever you want to say in the next segment of the show. It's time for the Tolo Takeover. 844-326-3663, 844-FAN phone. Go ahead and call in. Get yourself in line, and we'll bring you on next to take over the segment on the Fan Upstate. Cole, you've seen the movie Major League, right?
I have. It's been a while, but I have seen it.
Remember that scene? It might have actually been in Major League 2, where the Japanese player looked at Pedro Serrano and said, "You have no marbles."
I don't remember that.
Marbles?
But like I say, it's been a while.
Marbles.
Marbles?
We marbles.
Okay.
Marbles.
Yeah.
Testiculars.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a big problem with that among our Tolos. Not many of them have the gabagools to call in and be a part of the radio show live and over the air. People want to hide behind their phones. They just want to text in. This is your chance right here, right now, Tolos, to pick up the phone. It actually has a function on there for that. And call the show, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663, and take over these airwaves. You got something to say? Call in. You can brag about an accomplishment. You can complain about drivers on the road. If you got a question about something, you have a quandary that you want us to help you fix, which we had with Sam last week. We got Sam off work for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How about that?
Rick's going to take credit for that.
Rick will take credit for that, and that's you know what? I buy it now. I'm sorry that I questioned everything Rick has ever said. I now believe everything he says because Sam needed a day off. Rick said he called his boss, and all of a sudden, boom, Sam has the day off. It's incredible. I'm sure he's calling in for his victory lap to talk about it. Rick, you're up first in the Tolo takeover. What do you have to say today?
I'm mad as hell, and I ain't gonna take it no more.
That could be
I'm on Interstate 85, sitting in traffic. I work in Easley. And I drive to Greer every day.
Okay.
Every damn morning, I sit in traffic from Highway 14 to 385. What is going on? They're not working on the damn highway, okay? What goes on between those 4 miles or 5 miles?
Are you talking about the stretch, Rick, with Pelham right there? The stretch is that what you're talking about?
From Pelham to 385.
Yes.
I don't know what goes on.
Listen, brother, I experience it twice a day. I live in Boiling Springs. I drive to Greenville. And guess what? You will drive through there, and you will sit in traffic, and you will sit and go 10 miles an hour, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, I can't wait to see what's up here to find out there's nothing up there. There's nothing. What's the reason then, Rick? What's the reason for that?
I got a woman in my back trying to cap my bumper. I'm not going fast enough, but everybody stop. Lady, if you don't get on my bumper, you fat lady, I'm going to do something about it, okay?
Hope she's not listening.
Rick, it's high time we had a couple of loops to get people around this damn city. We need to get people off of I-85. It's like the city planners of Greenville looked at Atlanta and saw all the problems that I-85 running through the heart of downtown Atlanta has and said, nah, we don't need to fix those problems around here. We're going to do the same thing.
Do you know what I'm going to do? There's a lot of side roads right there where I can park. I'm going to park and get me a little stand, and I'm going to sell hot dogs and hamburgers. I don't think they'll say nothing to me, because I believe I could sell about 500 hamburgers.
You could. I'd buy one. I know you're sometimes
teach them a lesson.
Sicko, please get somebody from the city to tell us what is. I'm still not out of it. I've been in it 45 minutes.
Where are you at now, Rick?
I am almost a mile from 14, and I've been in it 45 minutes from 385.
Well, just
that
do
is
me.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Just do me a favor and make sure that about 7:15 by then it's cleared up. Okay.
It won't be. It's here all the time.
Appreciate the phone call, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks. No, call. I bring this up all the time, and nobody ever seems to support it. It's time we get some loops to get around this city. Every major city has loops to get around it. 385 and 185 are already basically a loop anyway. That's the inner loop. And then we have the outer loop. Cole, picture this with me, if you will. If we're starting on I-85 right around the Duncan area, we just sweep down and to the left. We have the outer loop sweep down around Fountain Inn. It encompasses Piedmont on up to Easley, right around Travelers Rest, and back over to Duncan.
Yeah.
That's the outer loop.
It's
that
terrible.
way, if you are, let's just say, for example, you're down in Fountain Inn and you need to get up to I-85 somewhere near Spartanburg or north of that. You don't have to go all the way to I-85 in Greenville and take I-85 north. You can stay off of it all the way to Duncan.
Be nice. I'd like for that to happen.
We need to make it happen. I mean, come on, there's nothing over there in Cashville. There ain't nothing in Cashville. You're not going across anybody's farmland or anything. I mean, you probably are, but you're not bulldozing anybody's houses to be able to build that. Come on, a loop. It's not hard.
844-326-3663. That's the number, Tolos. 844-FANFONE. DB, the one and only, is up next. What's up, DB?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I totally agree with you on the loop. I think it should go even farther. Like, you could even just come off the 185, 385, take it more east, kind of going through, like, say, Cashville, go south, go to Moore, keep going, and bring it up to 85 past Spartanburg. Let all the trucks going between Atlanta and Charlotte
not a bad
take
idea.
that route. That frees up the traffic for the rest of us to actually use 85.
Connect it to 26.
From our day-to-day.
Connect it to 26 a little bit.
Yeah, it'll connect to 26, but keep it going past 26.
It's the 18-wheelers, though, man. That's what bogs it down.
18-wheelers do that one.
And it's the 18-wheelers and the women that can't drive. That's what it is. I mean, come on. Let's call this. I mean, it's terrible. I had the same thing today. I've talked about it before. When you get off a 385 diesel onto whatever road this is, Woodruff Road, there's a lane that you get dedicated just for you, and you're supposed to keep going, but people, they stop.
But they didn't put a sign up that says keep moving, change lane.
I'm going to put one up.
You go down towards, you go down towards Powdersville. You get off on that exit, 123, I think it is. There's a sign that says keep moving, change lanes later. They don't put that here on Woodruff Road.
I'm going to make one. If DB knows a sign, man, I need a sign. I'll put it up myself.
I don't have a sign, man. But I do have a plug for this fantasy thing I've been trying to push. You guys cool?
Yes. Have I joined it yet?
No, not yet. I don't see you in there.
Well,
but I'll just try to explain it to people. NASCAR.com. So you have to have an account. You have to make an account for NASCAR.com. You can then you can have up to 5 different entries, but once you create an entry, then it allows you to join a league. You can search for leagues, and if you just use the search function and search Fan Upstate, all one word, it'll show that it's a locked league, and the password is Diesel Cole with a capital D.
Now, can you resend me the email?
Yes, I absolutely can.
What's your name?
There you go, Dan. Tell us about playing fantasy NASCAR. How does one even do that?
I'm not an expert. I only did it for the first time last year. But basically, each week you pick 5 be in your roster, and then you have 1 that's in your garage. You can only use each person. I think it's 10 times throughout the regular season. And then after the regular season, you can use each one up to 5 times. So you got to kind of pick and choose which drivers for each track. So certain drivers / car makers, do better on certain tracks. So you just kind of have to pick and choose as far as that goes.
Yeah.
The way the garage works is if at some point, let's say one of your top 5 drivers like Rex, you can then take your garage guy and stick him in. But you got to do it before the start of the final stage.
Okay. DB,
or when the stage 2 ends. I don't know the exact moment where it locks, but
resend it to me, DB, and I'll join it. Did you like the qualifying last night? What'd you think about that?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I thought like seeing Denny up in the top 10 there.
Yeah,
I thought he had a real shot at making on the front row, but I guess that's not what tonight's going to be all about. But I was glad to see that the Toyotas actually have a little speed.
Yeah, Coach got it done, right? Hey, I like the on the television.
Never
been on the pole. DB on the TV broadcast where it showed the cars that they were up against, kind of metaphorically in that, as they were running, as they were qualifying.
The ghost car,
ghost car. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks for the call, man.
Before in qualifying. Yep, we'll see it.
DB, he's the best. He really is. We did lose Billy Horn though.
We did, yeah. Billy, call back in.
Billy Horn, we'll get
call
to
back
you.
in.
Dewey and Tom are both in line. Billy Horn, if you're still listening, like Diesel said, give us a buzz back. We'll get you on the Tolo takeover. Diesel's cousin Dewey.
Yeah. Long lost. 3 times removed.
Yes, I have to agree with Rick. I-85 is a travesty. I'm on it right now. I'm probably not too far from him. About Woodruff Road, exit 385. It's a standstill.
Dewey, I didn't know they let tricycles on I-85.
I'm on the side of the road.
Walking.
It's a travesty. You know, it's stupidity. That's all it is. It's stupidity. People don't know how to change lanes.
I think, you know what I think it comes from? No kidding. I think it boils down to people drive too slow. I think if people just drove, if you just drive faster, drive faster. That's what I think. If everybody drives,
fixes everything.
It does.
According to Google Maps, there's an accident somewhere. If there is, then someone's probably staring at them. And I think I talked about that already. So quit staring at people and drive, you bunch of dumb people. But anyways, I got another rant.
Okay.
And we're at the peak of 6 season. And I'm in the bathroom at the grocery store, at the gas station. If people do not wash their hands, I watch people will go to the bathroom, pee all over their hands, and then walk out of the grocery store, walk out of the gas station while never washing their hands. And then they're wondering why they're sick. And they got the flu, and they got this, and they got that. Just wash your hands, people. Use hand sanitizer, wash your hands, and then wash your hands again. Don't dig up your rear end. Don't wipe it all over yourself. You wash your hands. And spitting on your hands and wipe them together. It's not washing your hands.
Dewey, have you thought about not washing your hands either so that you can fight fire with fire?
I try to wash my hands. I haven't been sick in ages. I had diarrhea the other day, though, but I don't know what that was all about.
Thanks, Dewey.
People giving each other diarrhea and all that. Just wash your hands.
Oh, so gross. Where'd that go? Thanks a lot, Dewey. We really appreciate that. Boy.
Kane says, yeah, let's all speed like we're on the Autobahn.
I think that would help, man. Does the Autobahn, does it bog down? No. Are there traffic, is there bad traffic on the Autobahn? No. People don't.
That's because people on the Autobahn know to move over. There are laws on the books in Germany. The Autobahn's there's only short sections here and there where speed is unlimited. But it is the law, Cole, that you have to move over for a car that's going faster than you in the fast lane. So my understanding is you'll be in the far left-hand lane. Let's just say it's a 3-lane road. You're in the far left and you look in your rear view mirror and you see somebody flashing headlights at you. That is a car that is doing unlimited speed. That it wants to go fast. It is your job it is the law for you to get out of that lane. Otherwise, you might have somebody doing 120 miles an hour in a Porsche 911 rear end you, and it's not going to go well for either of you.
I'm with you. I just go faster and fixes it.
Let's go faster.
Speaking of fast, Tom in Somerville, listening on the free Audacy app. Tom, what is on your mind? That's a scary question to ask. You're in the Tolo Takeover.
Well, I don't really know how to follow up Dewey. It kind of got me all sidetracked because I thought he said when he watches people pee on their hands but not wash them. So it kind of made me wonder. But, anyway, thanks, Dewey. I got a laugh out of it. Y'all probably already talked about it, but I told myself I was going to watch the Gamecocks last night, and once again, they find a way to just tick me off at the end of the game. And all I kept doing after that game, well, yes, I was ticked off they lost, but at the same time, it kind of made me laugh because you know what? We still beat the Clemson Tigers, and at the end of the day, the Gamecocks run this state, and they run it in football, they run it in basketball, and thank goodness baseball season starts tomorrow because they're going to run it in baseball.
Tom, you know why I like South Carolina basketball so much this year is they make it easy. Anytime I'm searching for the score of a South Carolina game and you go on ESPN.com, it defaults to top 25. And it's because I can find their scores easily because South Carolina is getting their ass kicked by top 25 teams night in and night out. I don't have to go find that little drop down. I don't have to scroll down to SEC to find Gamecock scores. I know they're going to be right there.
Well, what's funny, Diesel? if you just bet the spread on the Gamecocks when they're at home, you're going to feel good no matter what because they cover at home. When they're at home, regardless of who they're playing, they will cover. They have, if you look at their home SEC losses, I swear half of them, all against those top 25 teams, are within less than 6 points.
They lost by 4 to Ole Miss. They lost by 4 to Texas A&M. They lost by 5 to Mississippi State. They lost by 1 to Florida. All of those are home games.
Yeah. So when they're at home, they're not getting their behind kicked. They're just not doing enough.
Tom.
So, yeah.
Kane on the YouTube stream says covers ain't wins.
Covers 8 wins. Who covers 8 wins?
No, he said ain't. A-I-N-T. You know, the ain't. It ain't. Covers ain't wins. Clemson. Kane's a Clemson fan. He said covers aren't. He's basically saying covers aren't wins.
Oh, okay.
I bet you love playing horseshoes and hand grenades too, don't you, Tom? Just get close.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know who the Gamecocks did beat, and that's those Clemson Tigers. The worst team in the SEC beat what's the third best team in the ACC.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm excited for baseball tomorrow, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to try to get out to the game on Saturday, get a first-hand glimpse of this team in Columbia this year.
Well, once you do, please give us a call. Let us know how it was. Okay, Tom?
Oh, I will. I will. Go Gamecocks.
Tom in Somerville.
Kane says broken clock is right twice a day.
It is still crazy, though. I'm not going to lie. I mean, to think about as bad as South Carolina's played all year, they beat Clemson. It's crazy. It's truly.
I mean, they ought to fire Brad Brownell for it.
Just
honestly.
for that. Just for that. I mean, they are the worst team in the SEC, and
that's what you got to love about this rivalry, though. Even when the Gamecocks are total ass, they still get to hold it over Clemson fans' heads, and they will do it every chance they get.
Isn't it crazy? It really is. Good stuff, Tolos.
Speaking of crazy, Cole, you have a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas, a slam dunk in Vegas trip. It's a national contest, and all you have to do to enter this national contest is do what you're already doing. Tolo, turn it on, leave it on the free Audacy app. All you need to do is listen for an hour a day. Once you accumulate that hour of listening time, you are entered for your chance to win round-trip airfare and accommodations for 4 in Las Vegas, plus $20,000. We're going to send you out there for the first 2 rounds of the College Basketball Championships. You'll be staying at the Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas, premium sports viewing destination, and you'll be visiting the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Good luck.
Rob Jones over across the hall, 98.9 WORD, texted the show on his way home today and said, can somebody just do something with Garlington Road and Woodruff Road intersection? Been at the light for almost 15 minutes, or can someone get me a helicopter to commute from Seneca to Greenville? That light does suck.
Well, Rob, you can thank the geniuses who decided to put together this spaghetti junction over 85 Woodruff Road, 385.
So bad.
There used to be two places, Cole, where you could get off onto Woodruff Road. You used to be able to get off right over here next to the radio station and just up the street, where 85 and Woodruff Road meet. So you had two ways to get directly off of the interstate onto Woodruff Road. Now they've pinched it all down to one, and it's awful. It truly is awful.
It's terrible. If you're getting off of 85 and you hang a left and you're trying to come to Garlington, there's nothing on the left side of the road. Everything's on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go to the gas station or anything over there, you have to literally take a right out of the gas station, then do a U-turn so you can go straight across Wood. It's a mess.
Here's something that's going to blow your mind, Cole. There is not but one. No, let me rephrase that. There is not a single gas station on where we sit. I know this is probably difficult for a lot of people to visualize. From where we sit on our side of the road between Costco, which has a gas station, but you can only go there if you're a Costco member, so you can kind of halfway mark that one off the list. From Lawrence Road all the way to Highway 14.
Yeah, it sucks.
Not a single gas station on the right-hand side of the road.
It's ridiculous.
They're all on the other side. It's crazy.
I know. It's a crazy world we live in over here in Greenville. Well, don't live. I just work. That's why I live on nice, calm Highway 9, which is becoming mini 85, right? Also, want to hear from you, Rob Jones, on this segment as well. Would love to hear from you, Tolos. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. I posed the question, Diesel, to you in the audience today. As of 2025, now that we have exited the NFL season, which league do we feel the best about in terms of the league that has the best playoff format? 844-326-3663. I do not like, Diesel, that at the end of college football season, we spend more time talking about who should be in and who should be out than we do X's and O's of the teams, of who's good, who's not good, who's impact players. We don't do that in the NFL. We don't do that in Major League Baseball.
Well, we have to define what we mean by best format. Is best format the most fair format, where a lot of different teams have an opportunity to get in and then go decide it on the field? Is best format the most entertaining or compelling format? We have to decide our parameters here before we can even say best.
Well, I think there would be a lot of those factors, just like we talked about yesterday with what qualifies a GOAT, right? And they're being different in many qualifications. I think the same thing is true here, that you would have to add in, most entertaining. You would have to add in the most fair league when it comes to, or the most fair format, if you will, when it comes to the best playoff format. And I just think that when it's all said and done, people want the best teams in, there's no doubt. But I don't think I'm alone in the sense of the dramaticness, not a word, the drama that surrounds the college football playoff every single season. It doesn't matter if it's a 4-team playoff or a 40-team playoff. The 41st team will be mad that they didn't get in. I don't love the drama. I love football. I love talking about the teams that are in, Diesel. And I just think that when you look at the different leagues, whether it be baseball or hockey or football, talking about NFL or college football, any league that has a playoff system, I think that you should be able to look at one in particular and say, I think this league does it the best.
Okay, well, so you don't want drama in the LBC. It's kind of hard being Snoop D-O double G. You don't want drama in how you put together the college football playoff field. But you also say you want the best 8. You can't say I want the best 8.
12.
Or 12 or whatever it may be without expecting some form of subjectivity and drama here, okay? If you want a drama-free college football playoff selection process, then here's what you do. You have the top 2 teams in every FBS conference get in. Top 2 teams in every conference get in, no matter what, because then you have to win your conference to get in. That is the only surefire way to get in. And then we'll put a second team from every conference in, and that is determined by regular season rankings. That is the drama-free way to put together a college football playoff field, but you don't want it that way because people say, oh, well, clearly the 3rd, 4th, 5th SEC team is better than the 3rd best ACC team or Sun Belt team, right? So you can't say that you want best and then say I want drama-free.
Well, that's a different topic.
Because debating best is a drama-filled endeavor no matter what you do.
And that's a different topic. We can talk about that, as well. But I want to hear from you, Tolos, on which league, which do you feel is the best playoff? Do you feel like the NFL has the best playoff format? Major League Baseball, do you feel like they have the best playoff format? Or do you think I'm wrong and you think college football does have the best playoff format? Who'd I miss? Hockey, NBA, if I missed NBA, 844-326-3663. I'm going to go with NFL. I'm going to go with NFL, Diesel, because when it's all said and done, I feel like the teams that are deserving do get in. I like the way the NFL postseason happens because you don't have to wait too terribly long to get to really, really significant and really, really important games. I mean, the AFC Championship, if you get a home game, you're only 2 games away from playing, or a bye rather. You're only 2 games away from playing in that championship game. So I'm going NFL in terms of which league do I think has the best playoff system. You say Diesel?
I say it's probably NHL. You can get through the NHL playoffs fairly quickly, especially when you're talking about series of 3, then getting up to series of 5, and then going 7 once you get into the finals and the quarterfinals of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I like NHL, by the way.
The NHL playoffs are long, Cole, and that has to be one of the reasons why you make it why you can call it the best format, because once you start reducing the number of teams to create exclusivity, now you start reducing the number of teams who can go win this whole thing. And, I like deciding it on the field. I like deciding it on the ice rather than letting some committee decide that this team is better than that team, comparing this schedule to that schedule, this quarterback to that quarterback. That's when, like I said, once you get into subjectivity, I think you start losing the plot a little bit. And I think the NHL just does it well.
There's 14 teams that make it in the NFL. Let me see what it is for the NHL. It is 16. So not too terribly many more teams, Diesel, making it. Tolos, want to hear from you on this.
Also means you don't have buys. When you have 16 teams, you don't get any buys.
No buys in the NHL. TA, Rob, all on the phone lines in line wanting to get in on the conversation. TA and Gaffney is where we go first. What's up, TA?
What's up, guys? I just want to say, and I know it's probably not where you want to go, but I like, like tennis, Wimbledon, the French Open, the individual sports, golf. I mean, where the back nine comes into play and it's mano a mano. I like those types of formats. But if you're talking about teams, I think college is getting it right. I know there's arguments about that, but before I go and let you talk about that, I want to rewind it a little bit because I've been trying to get in for quite a while, but I keep almost wrecking on I-85 here trying to dial your number. But
that's why you got to save it in your phone, TA.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting ready to do. But I want to argue with the Clemson guy about a cover is not a win. If you bet on the cover and you $100 and they cover, you win the money. So that's not a loss. That's a win. That's a dub. And as far as what you guys are talking about, driving on interstates, I totally agree. I lived in St. Louis for 5 years, and if you don't get off the ramp going 70 right into the traffic coming 70, you're going to end up, in a river or in a ditch. You have got to be going the same speed that the people coming behind you are going, just so you can get in and keep that same pace. If somebody's got a rubberneck and they're looking over their shoulder and not paying attention, that can be a cause for a bad situation. But great show, good stuff, guys. I'm always listening, so I'll let you guys talk about that.
Thanks,
TA.
He's with us on the
There's a fine question, Cole. Why is there a 30-mile-an-hour range between max speed limit and minimum speed limit? In a lot of places in South Carolina, the maximum speed limit is 75 or it could be 65, and the minimum speed limit on interstates is 45. Most people aren't doing 45. The minimum is kind of a joke. But really, Cole, like what we need to have is like a 15-mile-an-hour range difference. So you can only be going between 60 and 75. If you can't maintain those speeds, get your ass out of here. Go right on the frontage road.
Texter from the 838 says the NFL is number 1, the NHL is number 2, and then I got to go college football. Doesn't matter how many teams are in there. Somebody's going to complain anyways, but I enjoyed bowl season this year, says Tolo Steve. Rob Jones, who we just talked about a minute ago, is with us on the phone lines, 844-FAN phone. Rob Jones, in your expertise opinion, which league has the best playoff system and format?
Man, I'll go with college basketball. I mean, if you look at it, you got 68 teams that make it. You got a little over 300 teams in Division I college basketball. Roughly 1/5 of the teams make it. The only real argument we ever have is that, pretty good mid-major that maybe gets left out against the, lower level or middle tier Power 5 conference team. That's the only argument we ever really have. And then you get into the actual tournament itself, where there's nothing like that single elimination format. That's why millions and millions of people watch the tournament the first 2 days, is because we're looking for that big upset in the single elimination win or go home situation. So I'll go with college basketball, man.
I like it.
Rob, how would you adjust the NCAA tournament format, or maybe you could say you would adjust the regular season format a little bit to make the regular season matter to more people? Because most people don't tune in until we get to the NCAA tournament anyway. Maybe it's that the tournament is so good and so compelling that people don't feel the need to watch regular season games anymore.
Well, that's always been a topic of discussion that's always been kind of difficult because, you play so many games. I mean, you look at playing 35 regular season games, so you can lose some games and still get in if you're in a Power 5 conference. And also, to me, the thing that's probably the most irrelevant now that used to be relevant are the conference tournaments. If you're talking about the Power 5 and even some of the big mid-major tournaments, there's the philosophy from some coaches that, I'm just going to bow out of the conference tournament early. I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on it so I get the extra couple days rest before the big tournament. That's always going to be a challenge. I don't know that I have the answer of how you fix that, other than maybe you kind of mandate that some of these Power 5s play each other a little bit more out of conference.
Yeah.
Because, the old Oliver Purnell at Clemson analogy was, they're going to be 12-0 through December, and then they're going to go 6-10 or whatever in league after that. But, maybe you do that. I don't know, but I just think when you're talking about a postseason format, for me, it always has been college basketball, and I'll stay, with that, man. I really think that first 2 days of the NCAA tournament is like nothing else that we see throughout the sports world, man.
Thanks for the call, Rob. We appreciate it, man. It's interesting, the point that Rob brought up, Diesel, about the conference tournament in basketball. What was the narrative? What was the conversation this year in football? What was pointless? Conference championship games. Now we're in 2 different sports, football and basketball, where there are a lot of people who really believe that these conference tournaments are useless.
Yeah, look, I don't know that you can add postseason play. Keep expanding postseason more and more and more every year, and expect the middle ground between the regular season and the postseason to still hold the same weight that it once did, right? Like, people are trying to convince the world, oh, the regular season in college football still matters. Pay attention. It means so much. And then say the postseason tournament means so much, and expect people to still believe that the middleman, think about like the middle child. A lot of middle children have there's a syndrome named after it, middle child syndrome, that the conference tournaments are turning into middle child syndrome. Cole, unless you force them to force the conference tournaments in every sport to mean that much extra because it has postseason implications and it's the portal to get into postseason play after the fact, then it's always going to start to slip away in terms of importance.
It is interesting. Now that you have two sports to where you hear coaches talk about it, though. Like coaches say, I don't know if I want to play in the conference tournament. I don't know if I want to play in the SEC championship. It could hurt you more than it could help you. And to Rob's point in basketball, wouldn't most teams take the rest? It's interesting.
When we come back, Cole, let's whip around the sports world, see what else is happening out there in our daily wires. Cole, we spent a lot of time deep diving on Clemson and the Carolina Panthers, Major League Baseball, college basketball, etc. on this show. Sometimes, Cole, you just want to do it fast and lean. We call this segment our Daily Wires. This is the buzz happening around the sports world. In case you missed it last night, Furman beat Mercer 96-72. I was at that game. Furman looked really good in the first half, scored 50-some-odd points in the first half, Cole. It ended up scoring, almost that many in the second half, but they let Mercer back in the game in the second half. It got down to about a 5 or 6 point differential, and then Furman just turned it on, took off, ended up winning that game by 24 points. Wofford defeated the Citadel in overtime, 74-71, a real good basketball game there down in Charleston. Free agent Alex Bregman has a new home after agreeing to a 3-year, $120 million deal with the Boston Red Sox last night. The $40 million annual salary is more than $10 million per year than other teams were offering. Does that mean those other teams overpaid?
Maybe so.
That the Red Sox overpaid by $10 million.
They paid a lot. They paid a lot to get him. I can tell you that. I don't know if they overpaid or not, but he's a good player, but it's a lot of money, no doubt.
Cole, former Ottawa Redblacks quarterback Devlin Duck Hodges proposed to country singer Lainey Wilson, announcing their plans on Instagram. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ottawa Redblacks, and he retired from pro football in April. Congratulations to the happy couple.
She was deciding between him and me, so it was a tough decision, she said, but it's just
I think she made a bad choice, to be honest.
Did she make a bad choice? Are you kidding me?
I mean, she could have had a pro football player or a guy that looks like Luke Combs, and she chose the pro football player. How dare she?
What do they say? Her loss.
Yeah, exactly. The news broke earlier today, Cole, that the Jets have officially decided to move on from Aaron Rodgers. I love that they are the ones who announced it.
Me too.
Instead of Aaron announcing that, hey, I'm parting ways with the Jets. That makes it seem like he was the one who broke up with the Jets. Nah, it's not the case. The Jets broke up with Aaron.
You got to be the one that gets out in front of it. Don't let him have the word, man.
Yeah, exactly. The Daytona 500 qualifying was last night, Cole. Chase Briscoe won. That will be Toyota's first ever Daytona 500 pole. Toyota seemed to be real fast.
They started off the season fast last year. I mean, they just came in guns a-blazing to start the NASCAR season. Toyotas looked good last night. I enjoyed it, for the most part, the qualifying. It wasn't as bad. The as DB called it, the ghost car on television made it really entertaining because you could see whoever was running, you could see how they compared to the driver who ran a couple laps before, man. That was really cool.
I love that. And it's like, it's always interesting to see who's just taking the better line. And if it's the matter of, riding 6 feet down the track just a little bit is just a little bit better line, you can clearly see it with the ghost car.
And there's duels tonight. So tonight you will find the rest of the qualifying. So last night was just 1 and 2, and then they were placed or how they finished last night determines how they start the duels tonight, and then how they finish tonight will determine the actual order of the race.
Oh yeah, let's not overcomplicate things, guys. Can we not just make it fastest car goes first? How about that? Can we just do that? No. We have to make it a little wonky. Clayton Kershaw, Cole, has said, I'm not leaving. I'm not retiring. He spent 4 weeks on crutches and another 4 weeks in a walking boot after foot surgery. But he said, I didn't even entertain retiring. How old do you think Clayton Kershaw is? Is that in his 50s? I mean, he's up there, right?
God, I don't know how. I'm going to guess. Before I look it up, I'm going to guess mid to late 30s. Mid to late 30s. How old is Clayton Kershaw? God, 36. So I was close.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there in age. He looks older than that. He looks like he's in his mid 40s. Cole, this is wild. Reportedly, a Philadelphia sports book lost $6.5 million on the Eagles' Super Bowl win. I guess even the people of Pennsylvania were not that high on the Eagles, and they have lost $6.5 million. Usually the house wins. They didn't win this time. A record $101.5 million was bet on the Super Bowl with Pennsylvania sportsbooks. That's a 20.5% increase over the previous high water mark set in 2023 when the Eagles lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 57.
That's crazy. That's a lot of money, man. That is a lot of money. But with them having the team in the Super Bowl, doesn't surprise you. Just still a lot of money. Diesel, a lot of audio. A lot of money, a lot of audio. We have an audio blitz. We react to some of the best audio this week next. A good old-fashioned audio blitz, bringing you some of the best audio from the past week of sports. We had some really cool audio at 4:45 today, and for the new audience, that's where I'll start the audio blitz with a little bit of Josh Allen audio from when he won the MVP award, and then Slick Rick in the mailroom reacting. We'll start it off with Josh Allen.
Staff to the training room, to the strength staff, to Slick Rick in the mailroom, to the cafeteria upstairs. Like it truly takes everybody to have team success.
When I left work Thursday, I was mentioned, I said, if Josh doesn't get MVP, I'm going to cry. I said, I'm going to cry because he deserves it. I mean, he's that important to our team. So basically, when I was watching the awards, when he went on stage, everything, I was happy that he had won it. And it went from joyful to crying because when he mentioned my name, I just broke down. I broke down because I'm just an average person. I mean, but when he mentioned my name, it was like, oh my God, he just mentioned my name on national television, So it was like, I was just crying. I was crying. Then I started getting phone calls from friends, and I was crying on the phone to them. It's still like a dream.
Diesel, what's better, that audio or the name Slick Rick?
That's great.
It's a great name.
That's great, man.
Slick Rick. That's what we need to start calling Rick and Greer.
Every organization has a Slick Rick out there. Every organization has those glue people, the ones that, are always the positive person in a, sometimes a menial job, like being in the mailroom or being in the cafeteria. And it's great to see those kinds of people get recognized.
It really is. This one, I just heard this one today, Diesel, for the very first time during the Super Bowl. Do you remember the play where Jalen Hurts, I think it was early third quarter, the game was kind of like already on the verge of out of hand. Third quarter, Jalen Hurts goes deep to Devonta Smith for a touchdown, and that was kind of like the nail in the coffin, right? Well, here's the audio of Nick Sirianni telling offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to call the deep bomb. How about that?
So we score, it's over. Yeah, I don't just call it.
For the Eagles, it is 1st and 10.
Hey, check.
And they take over in Chiefs territory at the 46-yard line. Hurts back, looking. He is going deep, and it is caught. Touchdown!
Diesel, Nick Sirianni told Kellen Moore, if we score, it's over. Just call it. I love that, man. That's what kind of head coach you want, right?
I love aggressive coaching,
man.
Not playing scared. It's good stuff.
I think that, we talk a lot about Howie Roseman and the moves that were made for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he deserves a ton of credit. But also, Nick Sirianni's a coach that 1 year ago, we were having the conversation of if he should keep his job after their collapse at the end of the season. So Nick Sirianni should get a lot of credit, man, for the way that he rebounded. He and the team rebounded after last year. That's tough. A lot of pressure in Philadelphia, and credit to him. Hard to say, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Diesel, Clemson beat Duke on Saturday. Did you know that? They also stormed the court after. I'm sure you knew that as well.
Yeah, I saw it.
John Shire, Duke coach.
You mean John Cryer?
Yeah, pretty much, because he wasn't happy. And look, we might have this conversation turn into a 5-minute conversation. That's okay. Does John Shire have a point after this?
It's crossing my mind at the end of the game about trying to make sure our players are safe. And that shouldn't be my responsibility in that moment. Security should have that taken care of. And the fact that I'm debating the chance, look, we can win the game still. Down 6 with 5 seconds to go. As a coach, you want to be thinking about how to win the game. And we were. I mean, Cooper hits that 3. You're stealing a 3 away from winning. That's my mindset. And the officials tried to stop the rush for just a second, just so we could get our players off the court. So I think they should rush, and court storming and all that. We got to get our players off the court safely. And that wasn't a safe environment, no question about it. I mean, I was put in a position where I was shielding our guys from people running up and getting in their face. So I don't think we want something to happen and then have to make a decision to do something. So again, I don't want anything. That's not for Brad to worry about. That's not for his staff. Their team, they did an incredible job. But yeah, obviously I'm concerned for our players' safety.
Thoughts?
I mean, look, he's got a point.
Yes.
And we've debated it on this show before. Rob Brown and Lonzo have a hilarious promo about court stormings that happened back at the Roman Coliseum. And look, it is dangerous. It's incredible to this point that it hasn't turned dark in that we haven't seen somebody try to take a shot at a player. I mean, and by a shot, I don't mean like with a gun. I mean just tackling a star player from the other team. You know, it could happen. I mean, is it implausible that, just for the sake of argument here, a crazy North Carolina Tar Heels fan could disguise himself, buy a ticket, and wait for a court storming, and then just go take a shot at Cooper Flagg?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds a little bit nuts, but I mean, come on, look at the world around us. The world around us is nuts. So here's what I think could be a solution to it, Cole. I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, but do you remember when field stormings and tearing down the goalposts was such a regular occurrence that Clemson had to redo their goalposts and have them come down automatically on a pneumatic system that lowers it down.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the answer, Cole, is, and this sounds a little crazy, I think there needs to be some form of a pneumatic barrier that comes up and out of the floor that stops fans from entering the court. So
gotta be costly.
Picture for a moment, like when you see like people with really bougie bedrooms and they have a TV that's mounted in the like foot locker at the end of their bed, and it can come up in front of the end of the bed or at the foot of the bed. What if you had that, but with like a barrier? Electrify it if you want to, whatever you got to do.
I
right?
just think that there needs to be some way, somehow, that the teams are escorted off. The away team that lost is completely off the court.
Maybe they need to have a portal to get off the court right next to their bench.
Well, I think when it's all said and done, court storming, it's going to be hard to completely ban it. Maybe we see that one day. Maybe we do. But I think the opposing or the home crowd, in this case for Clemson, I think they should care enough, and the admin at Clemson Diesel, the AD and the president, they should care enough about Duke or whoever the opposing team is, that there is enough security in place. The PA announcer does a good enough job to let everybody know you can storm the court. But we're going to give, 15 seconds? Is that all it takes? 15 seconds, 10 seconds for Duke to go in the locker room. It's not really that long to run in the locker room, right? So
people will say, well, the moment's done.
Well, then the moment's done.
The moment's over. The win is it.
Maybe have a countdown clock on the screen.
Yeah.
15, 14,
The answer is hiring extra security. And if that means you need to have enough security, it's usually like the EPI folks, right? With the bright green highlighter green shirts on. If you need to hire 150 of them to lock arm in arm around the court so that people can't get on the court, I mean, is that a plausible situation too? Because a lot of schools don't have the budget to add another 150 times whatever the salary of an EPI employee makes for a game. And then you say you got to have one of those for multiple games a season. You got to predict what games students might try to storm the court for. And then if you've got multiple situations going on in the same state or multiple games going on in the same state, how do they staff that? I mean, these companies maybe aren't big enough to be able to staff, a couple extra 100 staff.
Sure.
In case something happens.
It's interesting. I don't know. Sadly, I don't know if there's an ultimate fix. I wish there would be, but I think John Shire does have a point. Diesel, next in the audio blitz, Luka, the new Laker. If I asked you a question in a different language, could you answer the question as Luka did here?
Para el diario AS, para España, después de todo lo grande que ha sido Pau para este equipo, tú vas a ser la primera gran estrella europea, el primer jugador franquicia europeo en los Lakers. ¿Cómo se siente eso?
Muy bien. He hablado con mucha gente aquí que tiene muchísimo respeto para Pau y lo que él ha significado para los Lakers. Así que espero verle por aquí. Sé que vive aquí también, así que un orgullo de estar aquí.
Could you do that?
Woo!
I mean, how many languages does Luka know?
Well, Europeans grow up around a lot more languages. I mean, we as Americans have a very jingoistic outlook to say, well, I don't need to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't need to learn German. I don't need to learn French because this is America, dang it. And we speak English in America. It's their job to learn our language. We can make an argument for that. But Americans, a lot of Americans say, I'm not learning it. You can't make me. But in Europe, there's just a culture that it's part of the culture that you grow up multilingual, and we don't have that here. And it's especially because it's the way we teach it, right? Like, how are you going to make a 10-year-old sit in Spanish class? I remember basically nothing from elementary school Spanish class, yet we took it every single year.
Can you speak Spanish?
No. I can count to like 10.
Yeah.
And I can order tacos and enchiladas and burritos.
And queso?
Okay, well, that too.
The only reason I wouldn't, I go to Nicaragua every summer, and I do learn it there. I learn Spanish there, and then I'll try, like, between now, Diesel, and February, and July, when we go, I'll try to have one of those apps, you know, what do they call them? The
Rosetta Stone type
something
apps?
like that, yeah, where it can help you. Because, like, when you go on trips like that, you do want to be able to speak their language and talk to them and understand what they're saying. I say hats off to Luka, man. He's Slovenia. Now he's speaking Spanish, American.
And speaks American.
English. American. America. How about this audio from John Delaney on his podcast, Diesel? This one may ruffle the feathers of some parents out there who maybe have kids playing travel sports. Do you agree or disagree with this from John Delaney?
Sports are destroying American families, period.
Okay.
Period. And you, as a well-tuned in mom, are feeling the pressure, if you don't do this, from these external coaches. If you don't do this, then your kid's not going to make this team. And if they don't make this team, there's no way they're going to get on this. And if they're not on this team, then how are they going to, right? You feel that. And it makes sense. And you have a 10-year-old telling you, I love this. I love it. I love it. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. And then you got that feeling in your mom gut that, like, something's off.
So John was talking about travel sports in this podcast. And basically in the description, he was talking about how your child's travel sport should never be the center of, like, what your family does. You know, the children do need to be physically active, but they also need to have, like, healthy boundaries with travel sports. And we could probably spend a whole segment or two on that with all the parents out there who have kids in travel sports. But it's true. How much of people's world nowadays, Diesel, is consumed by travel baseball, travel this, travel that?
I have heard of a lot of parents who have the means to do so, and it's a difficult thing to do, but they have the means to go and buy an RV, buy a camper or something like that. Just for that purpose. And they'll drive the RV around because it's a heck of a lot cheaper than getting hotel rooms everywhere you need to go. So why don't you just drive your home all over the place? But now you're talking about a $100,000 endeavor just to have a place to lay your head on top of all the other expenditures of travel ball. I know that we have a handful of our sales staff here. I know that Kristen McCrory has a son in travel ball. I know that our sales manager, Devin Vandermerve, has a kid in travel ball. And I would love to get their perspective on these comments. So maybe we'll have to follow that up and see if we can hear from them.
Texas A&M's Buzz Williams, he was leaving his post-game press conference the other evening, Diesel, and before he left his press conference, he saw a lot of young journalists, student journalists in the crowd, and he gave them 4 steps of advice for success.
I know
Here's
a lot
Buzz.
of you guys are students. I used to be like you. Here's 4 things for you. Ready? How old are you?
19.
All right. So here's four things that I write all people that I wish somebody would have told me. Read,
more than you think you should. 2, write down everything, comma, about everything, comma, all the time, period. Over the next 10 years, build as many relationships as you can, comma, and learn to connect the dots between those relationships. 4, never turn down an opportunity to learn, comma, or to work.
How about Buzz Williams, man? I mean, that taking time out of his post-game presser at the very end, that's good advice, right? I mean, that is really good advice for people out there that are going into journalism. 4 steps from Buzz Williams.
There's a lot of people, Cole, that we try to bring onto this show, especially the ones that are just a little bit higher up than the tiny local level, who you can't get to join you on the air. They'll say, no, I don't have time. I'm busy, whatever it may be. And they very well might be busy. But Cole, isn't it amazing when you can get a national level guest on easier than a regional level guest? I mean,
like Michael Duarte.
Yeah, we it's easy to get Michael Duarte on because he'll make time to do it because he understands the value in doing it. Cole, there's somebody that I'm thinking of who covers an NFL team in the immediate vicinity who it is dang near impossible to bring on the air. And I think he's an incredible talent, but it's impossible to bring him on the air because either he doesn't respond, he says I'll do it and then backs out at the last minute. And it's frustrating to try to get that guy on, and he covers the team for a living. That's the guy that I want to help grow his reach in our area as well.
Too big for his bridge,
I guess
our britches. Hey, shout out David Newton. He's never that way.
Exactly.
Anytime I ask David to come on, man, I'm not kidding. Knock on wood. Next time I ask, he'll be busy. Every time I ask David Newton, Michael Duarte, you're right. I mean, it's interesting.
Here's one great piece of audio for you, Cole, that we got to play earlier in the show. This is Jameis Winston in a press box with Bert Kreischer, national level comedian. They mic'd him up. They were talking about what it's like to field a punt in the most hilarious way.
Terrifying. It is, man. I think special teams in general is very terrifying. Especially, can you imagine looking at the moon and you have 11 ostriches running at you full speed and you have a piece of corn on the bottom of your chin. I can't imagine that.
Piece of corn on your chin.
Looking at the moon, and you got 11 ostriches running at you, and you got a piece of corn on your chin. By the way, do ostriches eat corn? What?
I guess anything will eat corn, right? Jameis Winston, national treasure.
Love
and then one more, this was Chris Spatola. He was asked, Diesel, if North Carolina should fire Hubert Davis.
Going to let Hubert Davis go, and I don't think they should. First of all, big picture, they just fired their football coach and hired Bill Belichick in this grand gesture. I don't think they're going to fire the football coach and the basketball coach in the same year. But beyond that, I mean, Hubert Davis he's in his 4th season as the head coach, and he's had 2 good years and 2 down years. In his first season, they made the Final Four, the national championship game. And then last year, they won the ACC regular season. He was the ACC's coach of the year, and they played in the Sweet 16. The 2 down years have not been great. He didn't make the tournament 2 years ago. This year, they have a lot of work to do to make the tournament. So it has not been a good year. But I think you give him a 5th year. I think you've got to kind of see which one's the outlier. He's talked about putting somebody in a general manager role. Give him a chance to figure out how they are going to accrue talent better than they have. He's one of North Carolina's own. There is nobody better as a person than Hubert Davis.
Hubert Davis under a lot of heat, obviously.
Yeah.
But I will say I agree with him there that if you have 4 years total, Diesel, and 1 or 2 of them are really, really good and 2 of them are really, really bad. Problem is you have 2 good years and 2 bad years. I do think he's right that you have to give him a 5th to see where the outlier is, just like he said, because if it's another bad year, maybe you know that's going to be the more common trend.
April Mosley on the stream weighs in on travel ball. She says it seems to separate the haves and the have-nots. It's a JB says it's a cancer to youth sports in America.
Not wrong.
Interesting takes there on travel ball. When we come back, Cole, let's revisit with Landon Powell, head baseball coach at North Greenville University, off to an 8-0 start. We had a great conversation with him earlier. If you missed it, we'll play it again for you next.
and pitching staffs here in the past. Our 2019 team had 2 first-team All-American starting pitchers and an All-American closer, and that was a really special pitching staff. But I actually think this pitching staff may be the deepest I've ever had. We have 17 or 18 arms that are 90-plus, and a lot of really good arms that we can throw at teams on the weekends. Having that depth will allow us to keep our arms fresh throughout the season and not have to tax the same guys over and over and wear them out. But I think the thing that we have to work on the most is our offense. I know we have scored a lot of runs so far, but I still see some weaknesses and holes in our offense. We strike out a little bit too much, and we have some approaches that need to improve. But I think if I can keep working with the hitters throughout the season and get them better and better week by week, I think our arms are going to be the strength of our team. And if we can score, 5-6 runs a game with the pitching staff we have, I think we'll be able to make a lot of noise and hopefully have a good season, good run.
We're talking to Landon Powell, the head baseball coach at North Greenville, right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, and on the free Audacy app. You can also watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Coach, let's talk about the most recent trip for you guys. You took your team to Hawaii. I went to North Greenville, and I know, as most do, that Hawaii and Tigerville aren't really close to each other. Talk about that trip, and was that your first time on the island?
So I've been to Hawaii before. I went to Maui. Actually, it was a gift from Dallas Braden after the perfect game. He sent us to Maui, my wife and I. So that's the only time I had ever been to Hawaii. But this is my first time on Oahu in Honolulu. So that was a really cool experience. A lot of these players, it was the first time any of them have ever been to Hawaii. I would say, 75, 80% of them, probably more, have never been to Hawaii. I think we had 5 or 6 guys that had never been on a flight before, and this was their first flight. It was a 10.5-hour flight was their first flight. But it was a great experience, a lifetime kind of experience for some of these guys to see that world and see how different it is from South Carolina, but also just kind of relish in God's beauty and his creation and what he's done, and to get to play some baseball. So we got to play 5 games out there. Against Chaminade and Hawaii Pacific. We also went over and practiced at University of Hawaii's facility. They just put brand new turf in. We were the first team to practice on the turf, which was pretty cool. We got to go to Pearl Harbor, and we got to see the sunrise there at the Pearl Harbor Memorial.
Wow.
That was I know that was a huge deal for most of these players. I heard from so many of them how that was, one of the coolest things they've ever been a part of, and it made such an impact on them to realize, what our country's been through and what people before them have gone through to protect our country. And so Pearl Harbor was a really cool thing. We stayed at a resort right on Waikiki Beach. So the guys got to go over and swim in the ocean and do some surfing lessons and stuff on our downtime. So it was an incredible trip. We were tired. We were worn out. We played doubleheaders both Friday and Saturday down at USC Beaufort, then had an off day Sunday. And then we traveled to Atlanta Monday and flew out Tuesday morning, gone for a week. Took a red eye back, got back Tuesday morning. So we were running on fumes. Our bodies are a little beat. Played 9 games in 9 days. And we've had a couple days here to sleep in our own bed. We were in our own beds Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And then today we're going to leave on a bus to go down to Shorter University for our first conference series. So not too much time to rest and recover. We're right back at the grind.
Coach, I don't know if you've been able to take too many teams on a trip like that to Hawaii before. That's obviously a really incredible and special thing to be able to take a team to. Can you talk a little bit about how things like that early in the season can really bring a team together, and how having that shared experience can really strengthen the bond?
Well, it for sure is a great, experience for the team, and it is a way to bond the guys early. I mean, when you go on a trip like that, they spend so much time together. They get to experience kind of life-altering, cool experiences, and that unites them, that bonds them for sure. And most teams don't get to experience that until, halfway through the season or the end of the season when they go to a conference tournament or a regional. So for us to be able to have some kind of trip or opportunity like that early in the year that connects us and bonds us early, I think it's going to cause the hope that it will create a camaraderie that allows us to be as successful as possible. So I think it was a great thing from that standpoint. Logistically as a coach, it was a little bit of a nightmare. I mean, it's a stressful thing to take 50-something people and make sure everybody's got their luggage and their IDs and make sure everybody's on the bus and nobody gets lost in the airport. And, it's just a lot, all the equipment and balls and, just there's so many things that could go wrong. And, so for me as a head coach, I can't say that it was not vacation for me. I can promise you that. But we were able to get there and get back. And to my knowledge, we didn't lose any jerseys or lose any players. So I think we made it all intact.
Coach, a little bit of a shakeup, not a shakeup, but some additions, if you will, on your staff. And I know that year in and year out, that's something that you probably have to not worry about, but gauge on a yearly basis is who's going to leave you, but also who you can get. Talk about the new additions that you have on this North Greenville staff in 2025.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have not much turnover in my coaching staff over the years. I've been here 10 years, and John Kutlangus, the former Gamecock and major leaguer, was with me for 7, and Tyler Jackson, who's an in-state guy that played at College of Charleston, he coached with me for 5 or 6 here. Now he is the recruiting coordinator, associate head coach at Morehead State University. So those guys were with me my first 5 or 6, 7 years, and then the last couple of years I had Hunter Dilworth and Trey Dyson, Matt Williams, J.K. Love. We've had a lot of guys that have been on the staff. So Trey Dyson, college teammate of mine, great friend of mine. He was his family was still living in Columbia while he was coaching up here, so he was missing out on his kids and their high school sports and a lot of their things. So it was a temporary situation coming up here to coach me. He was just trying to get in the college game and open up some more doors. So he had to go back to Columbia to be with his family, which opened up a spot on our staff. And I hired a guy named Micah Owings. Micah is a Georgia legend. He played at Georgia Tech and at Tulane, was an All-American in college. He's a year younger than me in college, but was a great college player back in my day and was on the USA national team the summer after I was. He was a third-round draft pick out of college and then played in the big leagues for 7 or 8 years, was a starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, and the Reds. He also was known, he was kind of like Shohei Ohtani before Ohtani. He was a pitcher that also hit. I think he hit 350-something major league at bats. He won a Silver Slugger in the major leagues as the best hitting pitcher in baseball. So he joined my staff as a hitting coach, recruiting coordinator. He's doing a great job. I also added a new pitching coach named Darren Holmes. Darren Holmes played 13 years in the major leagues, won a World Series with the Yankees, I think in 96 or 97. He was also on the Braves team in the late 90s, early 2000s. Darren was known as having one of the best curveballs in Major League Baseball, but had an incredible 13-year playing career. And then also the last 10 or 12 years has been coaching in the major leagues. Last year was a bullpen coach for the Chicago Cubs. 5 years before that was the pitching coach for the 5 consecutive years for the Baltimore Orioles. Before the Orioles, he was the pitching coach for the Rockies. So he's been in the big leagues every day for the last 10 or 12 years. And, I told him that, that's a fun life and all, but he needs to come experience Division II baseball and see what the real guys are doing. So he's joined my staff. To have him as a pitching coach for these guys, they have no clue how lucky they are. And then I already had Eddie Covensey on my staff, and he's been on my staff the last 3 years. And Eddie played 12 years in the major leagues, was a catcher for the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Indians, had a great major league career. I think he hit 130-something major league home runs. So we have four former major league players on the coaching staff. Wow. 50, almost 50 years of major league experience on our coaching staff. And that doesn't mention guys like Matt Williams and J.K. Love and some other great coaches that are also on our staff. So, we're very, very lucky, very fortunate. These players here have the best coaches they could possibly have. I truly believe it's one of the best coaching staffs in the entire country, any level.
Landon Powell, head coach of North Greenville Baseball, joins us here on the Fan Upstate, Wire to Wire, with Diesel and Cole Bryson. How has the scheming and scouting part of baseball changed with now this new era of so much portal and player movement? They used to say, when you were playing conference opponents, and it's probably true for all sports, you get to know the team and you get to know their tendencies. Well, now that's been kind of turned on its head with so much player movement and coach movement. So how has the scheming part of the game changed since that's taken place?
Well, it's definitely a different landscape. You not only having to recruit players the first time to get them to your campus, but you got to kind of recruit them to stay. And it's just a different world now. But I really haven't changed a whole lot of what I do. I don't know how others are going to do it. And my plan is recruit players that I like and that I love their skill set, and then pour into their lives, pour into their careers, be authentic, be real with them, show them I care about them and love about them. And if I create a great atmosphere for them here and they win and they get better, then they'd be crazy to want to leave. And, when they do leave, they'll realize the grass isn't always greener. Just all you can do is kind of take care of the ground beneath your feet and cultivate the garden around you. And, the rest is going to take care of itself. We aren't going to be able to pay big NIL numbers, dollars here at North Greenville or things like that, but we can create a great experience where these players love coming to the field every day. They love to win. They're getting better. They're getting coached on and off the field. They're becoming better players and better people. Those are things I know we can do. So that's what my plan is. I'm just going to keep trying to find good players with a lot of talent that want to win, and I'm going to give them the best environment I can give them. And I think a lot of them will stay here. We did lose a couple players last year to the portal. David Lewis was an All-American first baseman that had an incredible season, was Conference Player of the Year. He got wooed away by an ACC school. He's now going to be playing third and batting in the 3-hole for an ACC school. And that was a deal, that was some NIL money and some opportunity that he just couldn't turn down. And we had another guy that played in the outfield and DH'd a little bit that was a good player that decided he just really felt like he had to play D1 baseball, that, it wasn't, for him, he didn't feel like playing at the D2 level. I'm doing finger quotes. Since I'm not on video. He just felt like he needed to play at a higher level. And the crazy thing is, I think the program he went to is probably a lesser program than North Greenville. I think he, in my eyes, I think he took a step down. That's what it does happen, that these kids think D1, D2, they get that picture in their brain and they don't realize that there's plenty of D2 programs out there that are better than D1 programs as far as coaching staff, facility, winning culture. Plenty of things. I can tell you there's not a lot of D1 programs that just went to Hawaii for a week and they got to work with major league coaches every day. So it's an interesting landscape. But like I said, I'm going to take care of my team and my garden here and make sure my guys are happy and feel loved and appreciated. And, the ones that I want will stay, because that's the type of player I want. I want someone that's loyal and someone that cares and wants to win and be a part of what we're doing. And if they're not one of those, then that's okay too.
Coach, my last question for you. When you look at your team, your roster, obviously the lineup, there could be some shakeups throughout the course of the season. But when you look back at the 2022 national championship team, are there tendencies, are there things you look for early in the season? I know it's still early February, but are there things that you notice and say, man, that could be a really strong spot? Or now that you've won a national championship, are there things that you notice early in the season that you think, man, we've really got to get better on that if we want to be able to have another special season like you did in 2022?
Yeah, I think both. Obviously, having a couple teams, I think 22 and 23's teams were some of the best teams in the country. We won the national championship in 22, but then going back to the World Series in 23 and really feeling like we had the best team there, just kind of ran into a buzzsaw one game, and that's how baseball goes. But we know what it takes to be the best team, and we know that you have to be really solid in your lineup 1 through 9. The years that we were in Cary playing for national championships, our 9-hole hitter hit 330 with 13 home runs both years. And that's a 9-hole hitter. So you have to be really good top to bottom in your order, and you have to have some starting pitching that, can get 5 or 6 innings in a game, and you got to have some shutdown closers at the back end. So, that's the formula. And for us, we think we have all those pieces this year. It's just kind of figuring out where all the pieces of the puzzle kind of fit. And that's what the early part of the season is moving those pieces of the puzzle around until you get that perfect little mesh. And, that's the fun part of coaching. And you have to deal with some adversity and some injuries and things along the way. But that's why you have depth, and that's why you have, next man up mentality. So I love our team. I love our roster. The camaraderie on our team has been phenomenal so far to date. This is a really good group of guys. They love each other. They love to play. So I got zero complaints when it comes to that. We are still young. We got a lot of young, talented players, a lot of depth in pitching. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get in the depths of things here this season with this group of guys and get in the trenches and go to war.
Landon, sticking with that idea of camaraderie there for just 1 second, can you speak to the modern player's ability to adjust to each other quickly, to adjust to a whole new teammate, whole new location? Do you feel that that's true, that modern players do have a better ability or skill set at that? And is that something you try to identify when you're, looking at potential players who may want to join your program?
Yeah, I mean, I think that today's players probably do adapt to, let's call it, the change in roster, the change in landscape. They probably adapt better than guys back in my day because, now travel ball and that scene, it's ever changing. It's very fluid. And so guys will play on multiple different travel ball teams. Whereas like when I was growing up, I played with the same group of guys from T-ball all the way through high school. And it was like the same group all the time. I'm not saying that which way is better. I would prefer playing with the same group of guys and a family and kind of getting really used to each other. And there's like that camaraderie. You can close your eyes and know what your buddy's doing at the position next to you. You can, for me as a catcher, I knew what my pitcher was thinking before I even put my fingers down. That's how you become a great team. So it's easier not to have the turnover and have a more consistent roster. I think the successful teams are probably those teams that have more consistent rosters. But I do think that players in today's world probably adapt and adjust better because of the travel ball world that they're growing up in. So we're trying to create consistency here, and we want to have a consistent roster and a bunch of guys that, are a family and love playing with each other every year. And, I know that there's going to be guys that leave here and time to time are going to transfer to other programs, but, I hope we can keep the mass at core of what we want. And I believe we will, because I think we had a great product, a great environment, and people love playing here.
Coach, fantastic stuff as always. We really appreciate you taking some time to hop on with us, and best of luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and I'd love to get back on with you guys in a couple weeks.
Well, it's sad because Diesel is leaving me tonight. That's right. He's leaving me.
Leaving on a jet plane.
He's leaving me.
I'm not going on a jet plane. I'm leaving in a 4Runner.
Leaving in a 4Runner to go snowboarding, right?
Yeah. Going up to Beach Mountain tomorrow morning. As soon as we can get there and get our gear, we're hitting the slopes, man. I just hope there's any snow left.
Yeah, after the rain, you mean?
God, it's terrible.
How long of a drive is that?
We'll probably go up 85 to 321 to Boone. That in and of itself is about 2 hours.
It's not bad.
And then it's about another 30 minutes out to Beach Mountain.
So it's only 2 hours to Boone from here?
Yeah.
That's
It's about an hour and a half to Hickory. That's my hometown.
Yeah.
And then it's another 30, 45 minutes up to Boone. Depending on how many times you stop and slow down.
Yeah.
My wife's got every time she sees a
Kiss
Starbucks,
babies.
we got to stop.
Oh, wow. Starbucks on the
Shot
road
fired.
tomorrow.
I understand that she's probably listening to the show right now, and I might be in trouble.
And yeah, you might be. How long would it take somebody like me, though, who is not a snowboarder, to go on a trip on the weekend and pick it up? Is that recommended or no?
I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
How athletic do you think you are? Can you ride a skateboard?
I can ride a skate. Yeah, I tell you, the most impressive thing I've done was last summer.
Like, can you actually ride a skateboard, or like, can you push it forward a little bit on a purely flat surface?
Somewhere in the middle. I'll tell you, the last summer, the most impressive thing I've ever done in my life was I went with a buddy paddleboarding down the Green River.
Okay.
It took me an hour to figure out how to do it. It was rough at first. However, guess what? I figured it out and I conquered it. I kept at it. I really did.
Think that you have a preference for going straight ahead, like you're on skis or like on rollerblades, for example, or by going 1 foot forward, like on a wakeboard?
I think I'd be better at 1 foot, kind of balancing my weight a little bit, one foot forward, one in the back.
Yeah, I think snowboarding is your thing, man.
Never tried it.
Yeah, you gotta start to trust the process and understand that I'm gonna fall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall on my butt a lot. So
That's how it was
be
with
prepared for that.
That's how it was with paddleboarding.
Yeah, but if you paddleboard, you're just gonna fall in the water. That's not gonna hurt.
Rocks though, rocks hurt.
Well,
that river
that's
was
your fault for paddleboarding on a shallow river.
It was shallow, and it took me a long time to get on the board. A long time.
I want to go paddleboarding up at the U.S. National Whitewater Center. They have a little section in Flatwater where you can paddleboard out there.
It's a fun place to go. It really is.
Yeah.
Tolo's Diesel is leaving me to go snowboarding tomorrow. So I am with you, an unsupervised edition, Diesel. You ready?
Woo.
We'll
Things
see you
can
tomorrow.
Get wild, Tolos.